Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Close the gates of your palace. Your ba'ith, your ahal, your tent, your mishkan, your mikdash, your temple, your body you dwell inside. And bring your mind to center. And bring your mind to balance within yourself, within your 12 cranial nerve and your 12 melanin centers, within your hands and your feet that control your body, within your yad and your kaf and regal, that you may walk in righteousness and purity of mind and purity of thought with pure hands and pure feet and pure tongues, that you may understand who you are in the inward being. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us as another Shabath, that we may cease from our labors, our own mind, our own thoughts, our own understanding, to cease from our own selfish ways and our own will, and to submit ourselves to the highest order and the highest Shamayim as he scans our heart and our mind from the highest Shamayim on his superior throne. For today we acknowledge the one who made all of the heart of the earth, all the mountains, rivers, and streams, the one who formed every creature of the earth, the one who allows the wind to blow, the one who allows the birds to make a sound and give praise or halal to him in the evening time, the one who allows the shamash, kukab, and the yark to shine, and the one who darkens them that the ore from the beginning may shine, the light how it was before the earth even was, Yahuwah Elohim. So as we move forward in righteousness, we move forward in kindness, kasid, we move forward in kindness, and we move forward in the fruits of the Ruach. Kindness, ahab, joy, peace, patience, faithfulness, gentleness, meekness, they say self-control. We move forward in self-control. We move forward in ahab that binds everything together in perfect harmony. Right, so this is the Nazarene, the Gospel of the Nazarene, the Truth of the Nazarenes, chapter 57 and verse 1. Chapter 57 and verse 1. So at the same time came the disciples to Yahusha, saying, "Who is the greatest in the Malkuth?" Right. So he told Baruch, and Yirmiyahu told Baruch, "Don't seek out anything great for yourself." But he asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom?" And he said, and Yahusha called a little child to him and set him in the midst and said, "Verily I say to you, except you be born again of the Ruach and become innocent and teachable as little children, you shall not enter the Malkuth." You ain't going to enter the kingdom. He said, you got to become innocent and you got to become teachable little children. The very same thing when it came to you when you first came out of the womb of your mother. And you came into the world and you had to be a teachable little child. And if you wasn't a teachable little child, you turned out to be something that your parents was not proud of. And these are all a part of life. But at the same time, when you understand what it means to be teachable, you understand that you can be taught something, then you understand that you are a innocent child. But if you're not an innocent child, you are not a person that can't be taught anything. Right? That's how you know you're not an innocent child. This is, verse 2 says, "Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the Malkuth. And whoso shall receive one such child in my name receives me." Right? Because that's the whole point. Because you will receive him. You receive a little child. Because unto us a child was born. Unto us a son is given, and the government was on his shoulders. So what do you think he's doing when he's trying to teach you something? He's trying to give you something. He's trying to give you back your authority back. He's trying to give you back your structure back. He's trying to give you back what you were missing in your life. And get what it says. Verse 3, "Woe to the world because of offenses, for now it must be that offenses come. But woe to the man by whom offenses come. Wherefore, if your lust or pleasure offend others," he says, "Wherefore, if your lust or pleasure offend others, cut them off and cast them from you." So, if your lust and your pleasures, the things you like to do and the things you lust after, offend somebody else, he says, cast them from you. It is better for you to enter into life without it, rather than having that which brings discord. Why? Because some of the things people lust after and the pleasures they enjoy, it's going to bring discord. It's going to bring division. It's going to bring rivalries. Matter of fact, not only is it going to bring rivalries, it's going to bring strife. The things you desire, it's going to bring strife. And guess what? Take heed that you neglect not one of these little ones. For I say to you that in the highest heavens, highest Shamayim, their Malakim do always behold the face of the Most High Yahuwah. So understand, he said, these little children that you insulting, these little children that you slandering, these little children that you gossiping about, these little children that you spying on, these little children that you tormenting, that you trying to sway their mind, guess what? They got a Malaki that's way bigger than you. Matter of fact, about 200 feet tall. And guess what? They go appear before Yahuwah. And every now and then you'll see them. And guess what? And if you mess with the children, then guess what? Their Malaki gonna tell on you. They're gonna tell on you. And guess what happens after that? Go read in the Torah and see what happens. And guess what? It says, behold the face of the Most High, for the son of Adam is come to save that which was lost. Now you see why. He said, yeah, I ain't lost. He said, I'm a man of unclean lips. He said, I dwell among a people of unclean lips. But guess what the Malaki do? You know they go appear before Yahuwah. They go talk to Yahuwah every day. Right? He say 3 times a year. These are just your report. But at the same time, every day they do it. Right? And that's how he works. But we're going to get out of that. Just want to start off with that. But at the same time, we're going to get into it. Right? We're going to get into it. Right? So this is the book of Psalms. Going to the book of Psalms, chapter 4 and verse 1. Tahalim, Psalm chapter 4 and verse 1. Psalm chapter 4 and verse 1. It says Psalm chapter 4 verse 1. It says, answer me when I call, O Elohim, of my righteousness. You have given me relief when I was in distress. Like when you were in distressful time, he said, you will give you a little relief. You know how I say, man, I need a break. He give you a relief. He'll give you a nice little relief, right? You're in distress. Be gracious to me and hear my prayer. If my people which are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked evil ways and their evil eye, I will hear from Shaby'ay, I will hear their prayer, and I will heal them. Verse 2, O men, how long shall my honor be turned into shame? He said, how long are you going to shame me? He said, how long my honor going to be turned into shame? How long are you going to keep doing that? How long? How long will you love vain words and seek after lies? How long are you going to love your vanity and seek after lies? How long are you going to do that? But know that that Yahuwah has set apart the righteous for himself. Just understand that he got little children and he set them apart for himself. He set apart his children by himself, right? And Yahuwah hears when I call to him, and Yahuwah hear me when I call to him too. He do. And get what it says. Verse 4, be angry and do not sin. So now, when you understand that, now you understand how long you men gonna put my honor to shame, and then you understand when I call, and Yahuwah got some children that he protected by his Malaki. So now that being that you know that, but guess what it said, verse 4, be angry and do not sin. Ponder in your hearts on your beds and be silent, Selah. Now he's telling you to be quiet. Be silent. You mean Demon? Be still. That's the only time you be still. Like when you're sleeping, you still. And guess what happens? Offer right sacrifices. So think about the sacrifices you offered during Chag Sukkah. Think about the sacrifices you offer. Offer right sacrifice and put your trust in Yahuwah. So now put your trust in Yahuwah for these next 4 months, next 5 months, right? Put your trust in Yahuwah. Why? There are many who say, who will show us some good? There are many who say that. You know how many people talk about you? Who's going to show you some good? There are many talking. Lift up the light of your face upon us, O Yahuwah. He said, lift up the light. Why do you think Yahuwah said the son of Adam be lifted up? I'm going to draw all people to myself. He lifted up the ore of his face. Verse 7 says, you have put my joy in my heart, right? Then they have went, it says, you have put more joy in my heart than they have when their grain and wine abound. Now you see why he said, you put more joy in my heart than they who have grain and wine abound. You know how people get drunk in their sukkah tent? You know how those who get the grain and they harvesting and planting, he said, he that soweth, he that look at the wind ain't sowing. If you chasing the wind, you ain't sowing. If you're looking at the clouds, you ain't reaping. If you chasing the wind, you ain't sowing. If you're looking at the clouds, you ain't reaping. He said, and guess how? That's how you get more joy in your heart. Because when you start trusting Yahuwah, oh, ye a little moon while you doubt. But guess what happens? Verse 8, in peace, shalom, I will both lie down and sleep. He said, in peace, in shalom. When you start to understand it. That which is born of flesh is flesh. That which is born of ruach is ruach. But guess what? For you alone, O Yahuwah, make me dwell in safety. He said, there's only one person who allows you to dwell in safety. Right? It's only one person. He said, each can protect the Isha. He said, but it's really only one person who allows you to dwell in safety. There's only one person who allows you to sleep and he said, not lose any. There's only one Elohim who can do that. It ain't the third string. It ain't the third string. I assure you that. I assure you that. So what's the meaning of all this, right? So we look at everything that's happened. We look at everything that's getting ready to happen and everything that's going to happen. But then we got to look at ourselves and we say, okay, so what are we doing and how far do we need to go to attain things within ourselves? Because there's a lot of things that one has to understand, right? Just like we have to understand many things in the world, right? Right, so this is the book of Bereshith, Genesis chapter 3. Bereshith, Genesis chapter 3 and verse 12. Genesis chapter 3 verse 12. It says, the man that each said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me the fruit of the tree and I ate. Right, so he said the woman you gave me. But then he says, then Yahuwah said to the woman, what is this that you have done? Right, so these are all a part of your life. What is this that you have done? Because this is all a part. What have you done and what have he done? But at the same time, the woman said, the serpent deceived me and I ate. Right, so the Nakash deceived me. Why? Yahuwah already told everybody what to do. He said, see that no one deceive you. Right? So all this is a part of his understanding, right? Yahusha been teaching people not to let no one deceive you for a long time. A long time. And guess what happens when you eat it? You deceive. Because he said, be ye doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving your own self. Because the only person you can deceive is you. Nobody can deceive you. You the only person that can deceive you in these times. Because the whole earth got the books and everything. Everybody has something in their face. The only person that can deceive you is you. Verse 14, Yahuwah Elohim said to the serpent, Nakash, because you have done this. You know what he's talking about? Done. What you done. What you do. What you done. What you done. That's all he's talking about. He ain't asking for nothing. He's talking about what you did. This, he said, you done this. Cursed are you above all livestock, and above all beasts of the field. On your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. He said, you're going to eat the ground. You're going to eat the dust. You're going to eat the very things that I formed plants from. You're going to eat it all the days of your life. You're going to eat sackcloth and ashes for the rest of your life. Because you're a serpent. Nakash. And get what he says. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. Because you know what happens? Challenge. Right? They want to challenge you on every single thing you say. Every single thing you do. They want to challenge you. And by challenging you, it brings you to understanding that everything has to happen for a reason. Right? So all that's important. All that's important. All that's important. verse 16. To the woman he said, I will surely multiply your pain in childbearing. He said, in birthing a child. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire, your teshuga shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. He shall mashal over you. Why? Because these are all part of his thing. But he's only giving people, he's only giving things. He said, ask for what you did, what you do, what you done, and what you done. That's all he's doing. And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, right? To transgress. You listen to the voice of your wife to transgress the bar. It has nothing to do with you not listening to your Isha. You listen to the voice of your wife to transgress the bar. That's what he's literally saying. Don't listen to her to transgress the bar. It doesn't say don't listen to nobody. Because you listen to the voice of your Isha and have eaten of the tree for which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Don't listen to your voice of your Isha to tell you to transgress the bar. That's what he's telling you to do. Because you did that. So anytime your Isha tell you to transgress the bar, you ain't supposed to listen to it. Or your children. And guess what? Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. So in pain, it's a bone, you're going to eat from it all the days of your life. Why? Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth from you. Right? He ain't never changed his punishment. He already told Adam what to eat. He said, man, I already gave you this. This is what you're supposed to do. And you know what people say? Nah, he ain't say that. It's a whole nother book. Right? He ain't say that to Adam. That's what he did in the beginning. That was his punishment for what he did and what he done. And get what he says. And you shall eat the plants of the field. What else he say? How you say? Crickets. And then he says, this is after he transgressed too. Crickets. Verse 19, by the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, lakam, till you return to the ground. Because man should not live by bread alone, by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahuwah. That's what he's trying to show you. Because he ain't live by the debar. I want to show you, you're going to still live by the debar. Remember Bereshit chapter 1, verse 26, 27, 28. You're going to still do that. But then at the same time, I'm going to teach you, I'm going to make you go hungry too, because you're going to get some thorns and thistles. And then after that, you know what I'm going to do? That's what you're going to eat again. And you're going to do it again every single cycle until I renew your mind over and over again until I bring you back to how I wanted it in the beginning. It says, for out of it you were taken it from dust, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Notice how he put in the kosh, you're going to be in the dust till you die. All the days of your life. But he never said, notice how he said it about the kosh though. He said, you're going to eat it all the days of your life. Did you ever hear about him saying the kosh going to die? He says, for out of it you were taken, for you are dust, and to the dust you shall return. He said, man, you're going to be, you know what happens when you die in the dust? Guess who on top of you? He said, you're going to eat, he said, dust, he said, because you have done this, you serpent, you knew Nakash. Guess what happened? He said, you're going to eat, he said, on your belly you shall go, and dust you shall eat all the days of your life. Man, you're going to eat nothing but dead human beings. That's what he said. Because that's where you go. When you go to the dust, who you think on top of you? He just slithering right on top of you. He on right on top of you. You don't even know. And guess what it says? Till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, for you are dust, and to dust you shall return. The man called his name Kuul, right? So notice after all that, then he started naming things. Again. He never lost what he had in the beginning. He was saying, he named her before. He said, this bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, she shall be called Isha, right? Then after he got punished, he said, And Adam called his wife's name cool. He said, he named it again. Then after that, he said, it's just like Mashah when he broke the first covenant. You know how he broke the first one? And he smashed on the ground, he executed judgment on the people. And then after that, he did it again. He said, here you go again. The same thing I wrote down again. You're going to eat plants all the days of your life. You're going to get thorns and thistles. Then when he said, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, he went right back to naming her again. The man called his wife's name Ka'ul because she was the mother of all living. And Yahuwah Elohim made for Adam and for his Isha garments of skin and clothed them. So all this took place, and he gave him was proper. So why we did that? Because everything you do is going to be judged. The very same thing, and he said that he's going to do in the end. This is the book of Hazun, Revelations, chapter 22 and verse 8. Hazun, Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 8. Hazun, Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 8. So we already read what he commanded Adam. There's no question that already told him what he's going to do. It's after he transgressed. But let's see. Hazun, chapter 22, verse 8. I, Yehukanan, am the one who heard and saw these things. And when I heard and saw them, I fell down to worship at the feet of the Malachi who showed them to me. But he said to me, you must not do that. You see, that's another thing you need to realize. He said, don't do it. You must not do that. I am a fellow servant with you and your brethren, the Nabiim, and with those who keep the word of this book. Worship Elohim Yahuwah. Because that's the only person you should be worshiping. But you know what human beings do today? When you get seduced by a Malachi to worship a Malachi, to worship a messenger, to worship a human being on earth, and you make a song about him, and you put it all, and you put it out, and you show people that you ain't got no information, knowledge, understanding, and you show what type of being this person is. What do you think you would think about that Malachi and that messenger and that person that allowed you to do that? What do you think he's thinking about him right now? Let me guess. Yahuwah is like so pleased. No, he's not. He's not. And you know what happens after that? He told you to worship Elohim, so please do that. He said, Shakah Yahuwah. Tahila, Tafila Yahuwah. Palau Yahuwah. Hagar Yahuwah. Do that. But guess what it says? And he said to me, do not seal up the words of the prophecy of this book, for the time is near. He said the time is near. We talk about when the time is near. You need to understand when that time gets closer and closer and that time is near. You know what happens after that? That means you getting ready to see Yahusha the Mashiach, the Malak. And you're going to be real near him. You're going to be close to him. You're going to get real close to the Malak, the king. And when he get close to you, you're going to hear him. And when you hear him, either you're going to hide yourself or you're going to show yourself. And guess what it says? Let the evildoer still do evil. He says, so if you want to continue to do wrong, continue to do evil. And the filthy still be filthy, because he getting closer and closer. He getting nearer and nearer. And the righteous still do righteous, and the Qahalath still be Qahalath. Behold, I am coming soon. What he coming to do? Bringing my recompense with me. He said, I'm bringing something with me. To repay each one for what he has done. You know what he just did to Adam and Ka'ul in the Qahalath? He said, what you did? What you done? What you done? And he did what? Repaid them for what they did. For the wages of sin is death. Notice how when Ka'ul got her punishment, he said, in childbearing, you're going to bring forth children. And guess what? And your desire, your Teshukah shall be to your husband, and he shall rule over you. Notice that, right? But you don't ever hear about her dying. But then you go to Adam, he said, for dust thou art, dust thou shalt return, right? Why didn't he tell the woman she's gonna die? Why did he just say, Adam, you're gonna die? Because the woman came out from Adam. And when Adam died, she died. That's what happens. That's why when you really, actually, truly, actually are linked and are one, like it was in the beginning, you both die on the same day. And he said that's how you know your linkage got off. He said, why don't people work to be one, a God, like how it was in the beginning? You know why? Because everybody want to sow and everybody want to reap. But it says right here, he repay each one for what he has done. I am the Aleph and the two. I am the Aleph and the two. I am the Aleph, the first letter of the Aleph, and the last letter, the 22nd letter of the Aleph. That's why we went to 22 days during the first day of the 7th month. We went from Yom Teruah to Kafar to Sukkah. I am the Aleph and the two. And guess what? The first and the last. I'm from the first day all the way from the first day of the 7th month all the way to the last day of the 7th month. Also from the first day of Sukkah all the way to the last. The last great day. You were after us. You were the 8th after us, weren't you? Where were y'all? I know. But guess what? The beginning and the end. The same thing it was in the beginning. I'm going to execute judgment for everything you've done. And when I get nearer and closer, I'm going to do the same thing in the end. Adam, Kua, and then the Chdsh of the world. I'm going to do the same thing. Get what it said, verse 14. Barak are those who wash their robes. He said, make sure you clean your robe. Wash your robe so that they may have the right to the tree of life. You know what Adam had? Amazingly, all this stuff. People say, well, this ain't rocket science. And I say, Barak are those who wash their robes, right? Clean yourself off. Because you know what happens when you get your robe stained? When you slit in the throat of things you ain't supposed to be eating. When you bite and devouring, you devouring your vineyard. When you bite and devour each other. Like Jacob said in the book of James. Just like Yeshayahu said it. He said in Yeshayahu chapter 3, you bite and devour my people. You eat them up like bread. Adam. And you weren't supposed to be eating people up. Eating human flesh, you Nephilim. You giant. You know what happens after that? You know what people say? Nah, we're good. You know what? We're going to be in eternal life. Huh? Barak are those who wash their robes so that they may have right to the tree of life. The Aydahchay. That, and that they may enter the city by the gates. You know, Shalosh Matah. New Jerusalem, Qahalath Jerusalem. You know, if you anti-Mashiach, you're against the 12 tribes. 3 to the north. Abraham, look to the north, south, east, and west. 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. People say, I need an explanation of that. And he said, I done went over it. I got, 150 videos and told you about it. And guess what? You know what it also has? 150, and we know it says 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. I need Ezekiel. I need to know about Yahusha chapter 47 and 48. Right? Everything pieces together. You can't omit the 12 tribes of Yasharal. You can't omit the gates of the city. You can't omit the 12 Shalakim. You can't omit the 144,000 that are going to be sealed in their forehead. You can't omit it. You can't change his debar. You can't change what he told Adam in the beginning. You can't change what he's going to judge Adam on in the end. You can't change it. There's no changing it. But guess what it said? You know what people have done though? That they may enter into the city by the gates. Outside are dogs, right? So what's outside? Outside is going to be outside this city that Yahuwah got. Dogs. You know what dogs are? Spies. You know what dogs are? They bark, but they have no intellect. They real loud mouth boasters, but they don't know they sin. Because he said, keep on seeing, but don't see. Keep on hearing and don't hear. That you see with your eyes, hear with your ears, and understand with your heart, and you be converted and you'll be healed. But then as soon as you will get nearer and nearer, then he's going to judge you. Outside of dogs and sorcerers and the sexual immoral. And you got the sexual immoral in these buildings today, in these communities, assemblies, and they be like, say, how come they ain't without? How come they ain't outside? Because they inside. And you say you are a representation of what Yahuwah says on earth. And it says, outside are dogs, sorcerers, and the sexual immoral, and the murderers, right? The murderers. He said, what happened to Cain? He was garaged out. He was garaged out. He was sent out. He was garaged. Same thing Adam was. He was cast out the garden. He was garaged. And he says, idolaters. He said, you worship idols. You worship stone, wood. You worship your photos. You worship yourself. You worship your image and likeness. You worship your career. You worship your car. You worship your house. You worship who you are. And everyone who loves and practices falsehood, who makes lies. And guess what he says? Verse 16. I, Yahusha, have sent my Malachi to testify to you about these things. Because you know why he sent his Malachi? Because he's a messenger. And guess what? For the congregation, I am the root and the descendant of David, the bright and morning star. Because that's where he come from. Because it's evident that our master sprung out of Yehuda. Which tribe Mashah spake nothing concerning priesthood. The very tribe, the Matah of Yahuwah, of Malach Sadiq, of the same tribe that Abraham would not give the souls over to Qahalath when he wanted to take the souls, and he gave a tenth to Malach Sadiq. He said, you are the tribe, what? He said, of the tribe of Yehuda, of the Kahan of Malach Sadiq. Because that's where we are. But guess what? For the congregation, I am the root and descendant of David, the bright and morning star. The Ruach and the bride say, come. He said, the Ruach and the bride say, come. And let the one who hears says, come. And let the one who is thirsty come. Wells. And let the one who desires take the water of life without price. That's what Yeshayahu told you. He said, come get water without price. You know everybody want to charge you. Come get food without price. I warn everyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this book. If anyone adds to them, right? So you add to them, Elohim will add to him the plagues described in this book. He said, I'm going to add to you the plagues in this book. Shaby'ay, he say Shabath. Shaby'ay, he say you gonna get the bowls, the teruahs, and the vials, right? You gonna get them all. And guess what? And if anyone takes away the words of the book of this Naba, Elohim will take away his share in the tree of life, in the Chdsh city, which is described in this book. He who testifies of these things says, surely I am coming soon. Amen. Come, Master Yahusha, right? This is Yuchanan chapter 9. Yuchanan chapter 9 and verse 41. Yuchanan chapter 9 and verse 41. Yuchanan chapter 9 and verse 31. Yahusha said, for judgment I am coming to this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind. Have you become blind yet? And guess what? Some of the Pharisees near him heard these things. When Yahusha said, the day is almost near. When Adam heard Yahuwah, he said, I heard you coming in the garden, and I hid myself. He's on his way to judge everybody according to what you have done, and to give you and repay you for what you have done in your body. And he hasn't changed one bit. We think he's changed. We said, man, we think Yahuwah has changed. No, he hasn't. He been doing this thing for a long time, longer than me. I know I ain't been here. So I ain't been here. What, 0.04 seconds, 0.04 minutes? Not even that. He said I'm not. He said I'm not even one. He said I'm not even half of a currency, right? A little digital currency. They're 0.04%. That's it. I ain't been here that long. People say, "Oh, you've been here a long time." No, I haven't. I done lived 930 years. How many years is that? Man, you ain't been here that long. Adam ancient. I'm talking about, when you talk about an ancient being, that's an ancient being. For you to even try to compare yourself. And he getting ready to judge you the very same thing he told Adam. He's like, I've been looking at y'all. I've been looking at all y'all. He said, why he may have you say stuff? Because he wants you to know. I'm going to judge you according to everything I say. He says, Yahusha chapter 9, verse 38, he said, Master, I believe, and he worshiped him. That's exactly. And he says, Yahusha said, for judgment I am coming to this world. So why he ain't do like the Malachi? See that you don't do this. How come he ain't stop him? Because he ain't do nothing wrong when he did it. When you go all the way back to Rebel Hazon, he was like, don't you do that. See that you do it now. But when he said, verse 37, Yahusha said to him, you have seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you, right? Going to 9:35. Yahusha heard that they cast him out. Isn't that what they did? Isn't that what happened to Cain, Garash? He got cast out. Isn't that what happened to Adam, Garash? He got cast out the garden. Isn't that what happened to him? Isn't that what happened to the children of Yahusha when they got cast out of Mizraim? They got Garash too. We talked about this before. They cast us out. That's what we are. We got cast out. But then guess what Yahusha said? Yahusha heard that they had cast him out, and having found him, he said, because you know Yahusha gonna leave the 99 and go get the one. I'm gonna go find you. And having found him, he said, because who you think found me? After they cast me out, who you think found me? Let me guess. You came and found me? He said, man, they did a satellite Google search, did a whole triangulation on my position. He said, and I having found him, he said, do you believe in the son of Adam? Right? That's what Yahusha gonna do after they cast you out. He's gonna ask you, do you believe in the son of Adam? You believe in the son of Yahuwah? He answered, and who is he, sir, that I may believe in him? Who is he? Yahusha said to him, you have seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you. Cain, Adam, children of Yasharal, because all y'all were cast out. The rejected ones, the ones who were cast out. You know, the ones who sinned one time and were cast out. The one who sinned, it wasn't even your fault, and you got cast out. You were ostracized, they call you an outcast. Who are you to teach us? Look at us. Yeah, he's talking to you. He answered, and who is he, sir, that I may believe in him? Yahusha said to him, you have seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you. He said, Master, I believe. And he worshiped him. See that you do it now. Yahusha ain't do nothing. He didn't say that. You know why? You have no idea. Yahusha said, for judgment I am coming to this world. You know what he did to Adam? He came into the world for judgment. He came right into the world. He said he came right in the gun. Adam, where are you? He says that those who do not see may see. You know what? Adam was blind. He couldn't even see. He couldn't discern between good and evil. He couldn't discern that he had the same garments on as his shop. We both had on loincloth. Who told you you were naked? And you know what people think today? I'm not naked, poor, blind, and miserable, and pitiful. I'm not like that. Yahusha telling you that you are, because you think you see. You think you clothe properly, and you think you got a proper clothes on, still to this day, in 2025 AD. You think you see. Don't you know you poor, you blind, you naked, and you miserable, you pitiful. I counsel you to buy gold tried in the fire, that you may wear white raiment, that you may put on the proper attire on your inward man. And there's only one person who will give you that garment anyway. But he says, for judgment I am coming to this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind. Some of the Pharisees near him heard these things. They, you real close. What have you done, Adam? What have you done, Cool? And what woman, what have you done? Man, what have you done, Nakash, because you did these things? Some of the Pharisees near him heard these things and said to him, Are we also blind? Man, if you were like Nakash, you would not said nothing. Because Yahuwah ain't asked you no question. But he asked Yahuwah a question. Then he asked Adam a question. He ain't asking Nakash no question. He said, because you done this, because he's like, right? He said, are we blind also? Yahusha said to him, if you were blind, you would have no guilt. But now that you say we see, your guilt remains. Your guilt remains. But man, thank you, Yahusha, for he died for our sins, right? But he said your guilt remains. He said your guilt remains. And you know why it says it remains? Because everything happens for a reason, right? Just like anything, right? So this is the book of Judges. The book of Judges. This is the book of Judges, chapter 5 and verse 1. Shaphatim, Judges, chapter 5 and verse 1. Actually, go to Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. It says, and the people of Yahusha again did what was evil in the sight of Yahuwah after Ehud died. So you think after you die, you think people are going to stop doing evil? You know how people say, when you become this person, you become this being, and then everybody, you all these servants and men servants, maid servants, you think all this stuff, you think people are going to stop doing evil? Right, this is the book of Ecclesiastes. Right, you're going to leave out of here right quick. You're going to go back. Book of Ecclesiastes, Qahalath. He said, man, everybody going to start doing evil. Nope. All right, this will be Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 1. And it says, Ecclesiastes 7 and 1. It says, a good name is better than a precious ointment. He said a good name. It's better than precious ointment. And the day of death than the day of birth. He said, so you think after you die, you think that people are going to stop doing evil? You think because you have this thing, you think people are going to stop doing wrong? And it says, it is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. The bayit, the tent, the hall. Why? For this is the end of all mankind. No, he said, I am the first, when you were first born, and I am the end. This is the end of all of us. He said, why? Because when he come back to judge you, and when he get nearer and closer, he's going to judge you according to what you have done. Because that's the end of all mankind. Death. Adam. That's the end of Adam. And the living will lay it to heart. And those who are alive will lay it to heart. Because when you go to the dust, Satan is just eating you all the days of his life. He's just eating dust the whole time. He said, lay it to heart. Why you got to lay it to heart? Because Yahuwah, behold, I come quickly. And I'm coming. Yahusha said, I'm coming to give rewards for everything people have done. It says, sorrow is better than laughter, for by sadness, the face of the heart is made glad. That's why when you become remorseful and you start to see your nakedness, you start to see who you are, then you start to make songs, you start to understand, I'm a mess. I'm undone. I'm nothing. Then you start to understand I'm in chaos. I'm broken and I'm damaged. Then you start to understand that. But until you get to that point, he said, man, you ain't never gonna have a glad heart after you realize that you realize you're blind. Because that's the only way you're gonna really have a glad heart, when you realize you're blind. That's why when you say, man, I'm blind, I'm a man of unclean lips, and then Yahuwah say, that's when you get gladness of heart. That's when your heart gonna be full of joy. Because you can see. You can see that you're damaged. You can see that you're broken. You can see that you are not worthy of anything. That's when you get gladness of heart. You don't get no gladness and joy when it's all fake joy, when you think you somebody. I promise you. It's verse 4 says, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. He say drinking party, mirth partying. Because the fool says, this ain't going to happen to me. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11. We're going to get there. Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 11. Qahalath, Ecclesiastes 8 and 10. Qahalath 8 and 10. Then I saw the wicked buried. They used to go in and out of the Qahalath place. Remember he said, I have come. He said, I'm the door of the sheep. They can go in and out and find pasture. But eventually, that's Yahusha chapter 10. They go in and out of the Qahalath place, and it says they used to go in and out of the Qahalath place and were praised in the city where they had done such things. I mean, they were so great. You see how much stuff they did? You could boast about it, you could talk about it. They used to go in and out. And they used to be praised in the city. But guess what happens? Because sentence against an evil deed is not executed speedily, the heart of the children of Adam is fully set to do evil. So you think after you die, you think people are going to stop doing wrong? Why do you think after Yahusha died, have we stopped? Has people stopped? Now you see why you need him. Now you see why, man, I'm broken. I'm poor, pitiful, blind, and naked. I don't know. I'm damaged. Then that's when you get joy. Because you know that Yahusha has paid the price. But until you realize that, you won't understand how frail you are. And you say, man, ain't no way I can keep on committing sin. Exactly. Because he's going to repay everybody for what you've done in your body. He said, I can't keep doing that. He that is born of Yahuwah don't keep on doing it. Yeah, I said, I got to stop. Right? But it says, they fully set to do evil. Though a sinner does evil 100 times and prolong his life, yet I know that it will be well for those who fear Elohim, because they fear before him. Then once you realize you're broken, you start to fear. You start to become afraid. You start to become a child. You're like, man, there's a big, powerful being above me, and I can see his finger come down. I can see when his cloud put a number in the sky. I can see a lament staff in the sky. Then you understand he does. Man, I can see other things in the sky that I ain't never seen before. I noticed things that I ain't never seen before. Man, he opened my eyes up. Oh, I should fear. Then you start to see everything. Because Yahuwah open your eyes. Well, you know what the people say, because you see, your guilt remains. The only reason he opened your eyes is because you were blind. That's the only reason he allowed people to see things. Because you were blind before. And that's the thing. He said, how do you know you were blind? Man, you were blind. People say, how do you know? He said, This is actually going back to Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. And the people of Yasharal did what was evil in the sight of Yahuwah after Ehud died. So please don't be thinking after you die, ain't nobody gonna stop. People are still gonna be doing it. And Yahuwah sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan. You need to see what happened. He think you're a slave to other people. Who reigned in Hazor. The commander of his army was Caesarea, who lived in Hasaroth Goyim. Then the people of Yahusha cried out to Yahuwah for help. You know, that's what we do. After you sin, then you get punished, and you cry out for Yahuwah for help. For he had 900 chariots of iron and oppressed the people of Yahusha cruelly for 20 years, right? You get your 20-year sentence. That's how you know this thing ain't over. People are like, yeah, it's over. I say, nah, Yahuwah ain't really execute judgment on all this evil that people have been doing for the last 25 years. There's a lot of stuff people did. And you know what people say? Nah, I say, man, look at this stuff people do. And then YouTube magnified it. Times, you know, I say times 1,000. He 10x that. He say 10x it. You done did it 10 times. I mean, he done went over 10. 1,000x. And guess what? Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, was judging Yahusha at that time. You know what they want you to do? They don't want you to say nothing. You know why they don't want you to say nothing? Right, so this is the book of Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 10. This book 40 verse 10. So actually, Yeshayahu 40. I'm sorry, Yeshayahu 40 and 10. We gonna get there. Yeshayahu 40 and 10. It says, "Behold, Yahuwah comes with might." Then we just read in the Revelation, Hazum. And his arm rules for them. For him. Behold, his reward is with him. Didn't we just read that Revelation? And guess what? And his recompense before him. Didn't we just read that? He will tend his flock like a shepherd, and he will gather the lambs in his arms. He said, I'm going to gather the lambs in his arms. He will carry them in his bosom and gently, Einu, Anah, Anua, Kana, Sana, Shafal, and gently lead those that are with young. I told you guys, this is your cold's trouble. This is your cold's trouble. You will care about his women and children. He care about his women and children. I don't know what people think. He care about his pregnant children. He care about his pregnant women and his children. Now. Don't get it twisted. And guess what? It says, he says, verse 12, who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand? What cough mean? Hollow hand. That's the 11th letter of the alphabet. And guess what? And marked off the Shaby'ay with a span, enclosed the dust of the earth in a measure. He enclosed it in a measure. Notice he put a dust of the earth in a measure and weighed the mountains in scales. Can you do that? Let me see. I want to see you scale out and measure, right? And weigh out the Andes Mountains or Mount Kilimanjaro or the K2 Mountains. I want to see you do it. I want to see you measure out Appalachian Mountains. I want to see you measure out these places, the Himalayas. Please do it. I don't think you can do that. And guess what? Who has measured the Ruach of Yahuwah? Who has measured the Ruach of Yahuwah? Or what man shows him his counsel? Can you measure the Ruach of Yahuwah? Can you measure the wind that blows in the sky? Every single wind that blows on the earth, no. Verse 14, whom did he consult, and who made him understand? Who taught him the path of justice, and taught him knowledge, and showed him the way of understanding? Who did that? Behold, the nations are like a drop from a bucket. Right? So why are you saying all this? Go to verse 21. Go to verse 21. Do you not know? Do you not hear? Has it been told you from the beginning? Didn't he make Adam and Kuh as a carbon bow? Didn't he tell Adam that there was not a Nazar fit for him? Has it not been told you from the beginning? have you not understood from the foundation of the earth? It seems like some people still hear with your ears, but do not hear. See with your eyes, but do not see. That you hear with your ears and understand with your heart. That you hear with your ears, see with your eyes, understand with your heart, and you be converted and not heal you. But guess what? For some reason, people don't want to do this. Have you not understood from the foundation of the earth? It is he who sits above the circle of the earth. Have you still ain't the cool? You still don't understand that? He sits above the circle of the earth. And guess what? And its inhabitants are like grasshoppers. You know how you run from an insect or a spider? And you run from a spider too. We run from insect or you run from a spider. We'll check, man, that thing be running you, but chase, you'll run. You'll jump on the thing. You'll jump on top of a counter. Get what it says. Who stretches out the Shaby'ay like a curtain, just like a curtain. Just like the curtain on the door of a tent. Who and spreads them like a tent to dwell in. Just like a curtain, just like a tent or a hall, just like sukkah. We dwelt inside. Who brings princes to nothing, who brings Nasi to nothing, and makes the rulers of the earth as emptiness. All right, going back to Judges chapter 4. Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. Going to Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. 4 and 4. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lebaoth, was judging Yahusha at that time. So he was judged, which means she was speaking. She was saying things out of her mouth. At that time. And guess what? She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the people of Yahusha came up to her for judgment. She used to do what? She was under the palm. And you know the sad part about it? People don't get this. And I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. Right, going to the book of Psalms. We're gonna go back there. The book of Psalms. Going to the book of Psalm chapter 92 and verse 11. Psalm chapter 92 and verse 11. Actually, going to Psalms chapter 92 and 9. For behold, your enemies, O Yahuwah, for behold, your enemies shall perish. All evildoers shall be scattered. You know what we just read in House on Revelation? He said, if you do evil, keep on doing evil. But you have exalted my horn like that of the wild ox. Right? You know what a horn is? And guess what? You have poured over me fresh oil. You know what the woman did when she came to Yahusha in the house? She poured an alabaster oil on his head. She took an alabaster flask and poured on oil on his head, and he said, she's done it for my burial. Because after Yahusha died, everybody still committed sin. And amazingly, why she did that? Because she was fulfilling the Torah. Because that's what she did. And guess what? Verse 11, my eyes have seen the downfall of my enemies. My ears have heard the doom of my evil assailants. You know, evil people who plot and scheme. But guess what he said? The righteous flourish like the palm tree. You know what Deborah was sitting at? Man, she used to be up under a palm tree. Oh, she used to be under a palm tree. And you mean like a temporary booth? She was sitting under a palm tree and she would judge Yahusha. And when you know what she did? And grow like the cedars of Lebanon. He said, you're going to grow, and she would grow up like the cedars of Lebanon. They are planted in the house of Yahuwah, and they flourish in the courts of Elohim. They still bear fruit in old age. So how are you going to bear fruit in old age? You got to grow up. He said, I need your powers back. And guess what? They are ever full of sap and green, to declare that Yahuwah is upright. He said, man, she was judging Yahusha under a palm tree. And you know what he says? He is my rock. Who's your rock then? and there is no unrighteousness in him. The righteous are upon you. You know what Deborah was at? He said, what she doing under there? Man, people have no idea. Right, so this is the book of this is the book of Nehemiah, Nakumyah, chapter 8 and verse 15. Nehemiah 8:15. Nehemiah 8 and 14. And they found it written in the Torah that Yahuwah has made by Bashar that the people of Yasharal should dwell in booths during the feast in the 7th month, and that they should proclaim it and publish it in all the towns of Jerusalem. Go out to the hills and bring branches of olives, wild olives, myrtle, and palm. Man, Deborah used to be under a palm tree. What she used to do? She would be judging Yasharal. Man, in Yahuwah ain't no unrighteousness. Matter of fact, in other leafy trees to make booths, as it is written. Oh, what's she doing all that for? What Miss Deborah doing that for? Right, it's the book of Revelations, Hazon, chapter 7, and verse 9. 7 verse 9. And after this I looked, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number. What do you mean multitude? From every nation, from all tribes, people, and languages. That's both male and female. And Lashon, that's languages. Right? Standing before the throne, and we all standing before the throne again and again every week. It's blue sky above and the clouds below. And before the Lamb, before Yahusha Mashiach, clothed in white robes. I counsel you to buy gold tried in the fire. Matter of fact, with palm branches in their hand. Oh. Wasn't Deborah Deborah, she was married too. Which means she was in, subjection to her husband. But at the same time, she wasn't no coward. It says, clothed in white robes with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, salvation belongs to our Elohim who sits on the throne and the Lamb. And all the Malachim were standing around the throne and around the elders and the 4 living creatures, and they fell on their faces. You should. We talked about Aydah, covering your face. Seraphim, cherubim, everybody. He said, Anua, Anah, Sanakana, Shafal, Aydah. And guess what? And fell on their faces before the throne and worshipped Elohim. Now, I think that man worshiped Yahusha. Oh, because he was, Yahuwah and his throne and the Lamb of Yahuwah. Why do you think he would work? Who is he, Master, that I may believe in him? It is I who speaking to you. And he fell down and worshiped. And guess what? Saying, Amen, Amen. Barak, Kabod. He says, Amen. Blessing, Barak, and glory, and wisdom, and thanksgiving, and honor, and power, and might to our Elohim forever. Amen. Right? That's what he did. He says, so why you did all that? Right? He says, book of Judges. Go in the book of Judges. Actually, Matthew Yahu, chapter 7, and verse 1. Matthew Yahu 7 and 1. Judge not, shafat not, that you be not judged. You know what Deborah was doing? For with what judgment you pronounce, you will be judged. Right? The same thing when it comes to anything you do. And with the measure you use it, it will be measured to you. And that's the whole point. So if you ain't doing what you're supposed to do, he said, if Nisha not being in subjection to her husband, then he said, you know what? He said, don't be judging nobody. But if you are doing what you're supposed to do, and if you are walking upright, and you know in Yahuwah ain't no unrighteousness at all, and you living according to how he said from the beginning, as he was, and he was a helper to Adam and the Czar, get what he said. And with the measure you use it, will be measured to you. Why do you see the speck that is in your brother, sister, mother, father, teacher, pastor, everybody, what you want to call yourself, husband, wife, and you do not notice the log that's in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, sister, or anyone else, let me take the speck out of your eye when there is a log in your own. You hypocrites, first take the log out of your own eye. He never said you couldn't do it. He said, Gilu, take the idol and all the things and all of the unrighteousness out of your own eye, your own iron. And the main way you're going to do that is through Aydah, in the Eden, in the garden. Anu, humble, meek, gentle. Anu, Anua, Anah, Sanah, Shafal. That's how you're going to take the unrighteousness out of your eye. And then when you do, after you finish that, you hypocrites, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly, and you will be able to lead Yahuwah's sheep. Because he said, when Yahusha, he said he's going to lead his sheep gently. Lead his sheep. Because they got children on the inside of their stomach. Because he loved his children he loved his sheep with the offspring in his stomach. He said, but if you can understand this, then you can understand why. Get what it says. You hypocrites, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your brother, sister, mother, father, sister, brother, teacher, pastor, more, morah. You know, they say you can't say anything. Now, you know how to say it. But in actuality, a lot of things that people are afraid of, you know why people are afraid? They're afraid of what I'm saying right now. You know why they're afraid? It says, do not give dogs to what is Qahalath. That's why what's going to be outside of Jerusalem? We just read in the book of Hazum. Dogs, sorcerers, everything sexual, immoral, and everything that loves them and makes it a lie, right? That's going to be outside. And guess what it says? Dogs, what is Chdsh, and do not throw your pearls before pigs, lest they trample them underfoot and turn and attack you. That's what's going to happen to you when you start Shafat. Because that's what he made Adam and Nicole in the beginning. That's what he said, what y'all ate from that tree for? I'm going to put enmity between your seed and her seed. Adam, you're going to sow you your thorns and thistles. They're going to attack you. Satan, when you bruise his head, guess what's going to happen? He's going to attack you. He's going to attack you. Especially after you're going to cast all the stuff out your own out. Oh, he's going to attack you over her. You know why he's going to do it? Because it's for a reason. It's for a reason. Going back to Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. Going back to Judges chapter 4 and verse 1. Now Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lebanon, was judging Yahusha at that time. She used to sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim. And the people of Yahusha came up for her judgment, and she sent and summoned Barak, the son of Abimenam, from Chdsh, Naphtali, and said to him, has not Yahuwah the Elohim of Yahusha commanded you, go, gather your men at Mount Tabor, taking 10,000 from the people of Naphtali? She said, Tabor, taking 10,000 from the people of Naphtali and the people of Zabulon. And get what he says, and I will draw out Sisera, the general of Jabin's army, to meet you by the river Kishon, by his chariots and his troops, and I will give him into your hand. Didn't he tell you to do something? Matter of fact, she reiterating to you what Yahuwah commanded. That's how you know you got a goodie shot. That's how you know you got a good judge. Didn't Yahuwah tell you to do that? That's how you know. That's how you know they can discern between good and evil. So what you doing? You supposed to be doing something, ain't you? Because the idol mind is Satan's playground. Satan's, he said, playpen. And guess what he said? Barak said to her, if you will go with me, if you gonna do what? You gonna do what? If you will go with me, I will go. She said, if you go with me, I'll go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go. So she must be real serious. She must be real serious. She must have been real. She must have been real. A real one. She must have been a real prophetess. You know these fake prophetesses today? She was a real one. Because ain't no man gonna be like, woman, you gonna go with me? If you don't go, I ain't going. He said, I need your powers back. What you doing? What are you doing? Right? And get what he says right here. This is the book of Acts. This book of Acts. This is the book of Acts. Right? He said, why? He said, I need your power back. He said, what? He said, you be limited around here, right? Right, this is the book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 14. But Cobb, standing in the 11, lifted up his voice and addressed them, men of Judea and all that dwell in Jerusalem. Let this be known to you and give ear to my word. He said, give you Shema. Shema. What he say? For these people are not drunk as you suppose. He said, they ain't drunk. Since it is the third hour of the day, he said, they ain't drunk. But this is what he uttered through the prophet Nabi Yahuwah. In the last days, it shall be, declares Yahuwah, Elohim declares, that I will pour out my Ruach on all flesh. You know, when he pour out his Ruach on all flesh, what that mean? What that's male and female. So you know what happens when you pour his Ruach on all flesh? That's male and female. You know what happens after that? And your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. That's her what? That's male and female. And your young men shall see visions, hazon. And your old men shall dream dreams. And what? And even on my male servants and female servants, and then we said, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, his wife, his isha, his nishim, his what? His ox, his donkey. Matter of fact, his male servants or female servants. Or anything that is your neighbor. And guess what he says? And every male, and even on male and female servants in those days, I will pour out my ruach, and they shall not prophesy. He said, what must I do to be saved? He said, believe on the Don Master Yahusha, you and your household will be saved. That's going to be male servant, female servant, ox, donkey, everything in your house, just like Nuach in his ark. Matter of fact, your nashim and your household and your children. Everybody that's with you, Nuach. Nah, the woman, she ain't supposed to be doing that. Okay. Okay. And they shall prophesy, and I will show wonders in the Shamayim's above. That's what we're getting ready. He said, man, get ready. And where? In the Shamayim's above. So what you see in the sky the other day? What you seen before? He said, I ain't never seen more than 2 things in the sky. I said, okay. Yahuwah said, okay. And guess what he said? And signs in the Aydahs beneath, earth below. You know what happens when you do that? Blood, fire, vapor of smoke. You know what that is. You've been visited by Yahuwah, just like Yeshayahu 29 says. And guess what? The sun shall be turned to darkness and the moon to blood. If you say, I know what a blood moon means. No, you don't. You know, they say, I know what a blood moon means. I know what a blue moon means. I know what a pink moon means. Yeah, right. You don't know anything. There's only one people who know that. The real true meaning. And we ain't trying to deceive you to worship some demon. And guess what it says? Before the day of Yahuwah comes, in a great, magnificent day. You know the great day of Yahuwah, the great day of judgment. You think Deborah, he said, man, Deborah judging, man, you have no idea. When Yahusha judge you, it's better that Deborah judge you right now before Yahuwah judge you. Yahusha judge you. You better, didn't he tell you to go do something? If you go, I'll go. If you don't go, I ain't going. And guess what happens? And it shall come to pass that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be saved. Save me, Yahuwah. How's that going to happen? And you say, what does this got to do with anything? It has everything to do with everything. It has everything to do with everything. You go to Acts chapter 2 and verse 4. Going to Acts chapter, where we going? Is it Philip? Yeah. Actually, no, that's not it. Yeah. This is Acts chapter 21 and verse 7. Acts chapter 21, verse 7. Acts chapter 21, verse 7. And when he had finished the voyage from Tyre, we arrived at Ptolemais, and we greeted the brothers and stayed with them for one day. On the next day, we departed and came to Caesarea, and we entered the house of Philip, the evangelist, who was of the seven. He was of the seven. Matter of fact, it was his house, his bayith, right? He was of the seven and stayed with him. So what happened with him? Because, Philip was one of them. Philip, he was one. He was one of them. And what you think this advanced being with powers and all the things he had within himself that was awakened by Yahusha Mashiach, just like the Nabi Yahuwah was inside of his heart and mind. It told him, right? What do you think he awakened inside of his household? He had 4 unmarried daughters who prophesied, They were prophetesses. That's what he just did. He had 4 women who had their powers awakened. Let me guess. What you think they were doing? Some unrighteousness like... While we were staying for many days, a Nabi named Agabus came down from Judea. Let me say, as we stayed for many days, we tried to get with them and holler at them, get married to them. And he says, while we were staying for many days, a Nabi named Agabus came down from Judea, and coming to us, he took Shaul's belt and bound his own feet and hands and said, thus says the Qahalath Ruach. So when you get the Qahalath Ruach, now he say, notice how they saying, thus says the Qahalath Ruach. So this is a whole nother, see, he said, do you got the Ruach? You got the Ruach? Thus says the Qahalath Ruach. This is how the Yahudim at Jerusalem will bind the man who owns this belt and deliver him into the hands of the Goyim. He nabaing. He prophesying. He nabaing. And when he heard this, we and the people there urged him not to go up to Jerusalem. Right? He said, he like, man, this man done not be. He done not but the Qahalath Ruach done said this. So understand, when the Qahalath Ruach say something, he said, this junk gonna happen. They like, man, you ain't going to Jerusalem? Man, you crazy? And you know what happened to that? And then Shaul answered, what are you doing? Weeping and breaking my heart. For I am ready not only to be imprisoned, but even to die in Jerusalem for the name of the Master Yahusha. Now you see what the killers in Jerusalem, they will kill us, man. Straight up murderers, sorcerers, idolaters, making lies, gossiping, slander, hatred. They were full of hatred and envy and strife. Yeah, the same brown people that's color skinned that was Egyptian, they made Shaul look like he was an Egyptian. Yeah, the same people. They y'all a bunch of haters, killers. That's what y'all were. You were destroyers. You weren't leading your sheep in gentleness. You were destroying everybody. You were destroying every single person that bleed on Yahusha's name. That's what you did. You had everybody who had the Qahalath Ruach running for their life. But then Shaul said, I'm going to go straight into their neck. I'm going to go straight into their throat, their guggeros. I'm gonna go straight into their frontal lobe. I'm right in their forehead. I'm gonna hit them just in the stone in their head with the bar, just like Dawid hit him in the forehead. He said, that's what y'all do, and that's what y'all have done. But then the women nabba. Let me guess, the women were like, when they nabba, nobody listened to them. Well, they were listening, boy, when the Ruach was around, but they were like, man, the Ruach said that? Nah, that ain't. Man, when the Ruach say something, he said, you better wake up. You know how you say? Wake up, right? And that's the whole point. It don't matter if male or female. Wake up. Why? Because it's all important. It's all important, right? So this is the book of Yahusha. Let me go find something. This is the book of Yahusha. I think it's 80. Yeah, let's not go there. Let's go back to Judges chapter 4. Judges chapter 4. Judges chapter 4 in verse 1. Judges chapter 4 in verse. Judges chapter 4 in verse 9. Judges chapter 4 in verse 9. Actually, Judges chapter 4 in verse. Judges chapter 4 verse 8. It said, and Barak said to her, if you will go with me, I will go. But if you will not go with me, I will not go. And she said, I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, the road on which you are going will not lead you to Gabod, for Yahuwah will sell Caesarea into the hand of a woman. Say what? So now she's going to knob it again. She prophesied, said, I'll go with you. But just understand, being that you ain't did what you supposed to the first time, he said, he finna do what? He finna give it into the hand of a woman. Now, this is a woman who's in subjection to her husband and still walking in righteousness and still doing everything she's supposed to do. Just like the daughters in Philip's house were still in subjection to their father. Just like the book of Numbers chapter 30 said, when they make a vow to Yahuwah and their father withstand them, then they can't perform it. The very same thing, the Torah was still in effect during that time. And it was still in effect during this time. And it says, she said, I will surely go with you. Nevertheless, the road on which you are going will not lead you to your Gabod, for Yahuwah will sell Caesarea into the hand of a woman. Then Deborah arose and went with Barak to Qahalath. And then she went. And then Barak called out to Zabulon and Naphtali and Qahalath, and 10,000 men went up at his heels, and Deborah went up with him. That's how you see why a woman who Naba is very valuable. It's very valuable. He said, I ain't no value in that. Yes, it is. Why you think he had 4 unmarried daughters in his house that could know? I mean, they had tapped into their Ruach powers. That's what happens. That's what happens. And guess what? And it says, now Heber, the Kenite, separated from the Kenites. And the descendants of Joab, the father-in-law of Mashab, and had pitched his tent. Oh, he said, pitched it all where? His booth, as far away as the oak in Zananim, which is near Qahalath. When Sisera was told that Barak, the son of Abinoam, had gone up to Mount Tabor, Sisera called out all his chariots, now 900 chariots of iron, and all the men who were with him, from Hasharoth Hagoim to the river Kishon. And Deborah said to Barak, up, for this is the day in which Yahuwah has given Caesarea into your hand. Now you see why Naba, a woman who Naba is very valuable. She said, get up. This is the day, which means you were up early in the morning. You know how I say up? Because when a Kaya woman arise, well, it's yet dark. He said, get up. This is the day when the sun come out of the dawn, until the day dawn, the day start rising your heart. She said, get up. get up, son. Because in the book of Psalms, he said the son is like a bridegroom leaving his chamber. Even though she wasn't married to him. She still was nobbling with him. She said, man, look at here. You asked me to go with you, so now I'm doing my job. Because didn't he ask her to go with him? Now I'm doing my job. And get what he says? He said right here. Yeah, where we at? And Darrell said to Barak, up, for this is the day which Yahuwah has given Sisera into your hand. Does not Yahuwah go out before you? He said, what you still doubting for? What are you still doubting for? Why? That's how you know Aydahchay is valuable. What are you still doubting for? He said, man, she ain't the artifact of all error and doubt in her heart and mind. She ain't trying to drive you from one Amuna. Guess what? So Barak went out from Mount Tabor with 10,000 men following him. So he just obeyed a woman. Who can prophesy. And guess what happened? And Yahuwah routed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army. Who did it? Before Barak by the edge of the sword. So he did exactly what Yahuwah said. So you saying, oh, she was a false prophetess. She was a false nabiyah. No. It happened just like he said. Just like Shamuel said. When Shamuel spoke, it happened just like he said. When Marim spoke to Amram, when he told him to take your wife back, for you're going to have a son by the Ruach HaKodesh in the book of Yasher, he went ahead and he got his wife back, and he had a child named Mashah, whom everybody now counts when he lifted up his rod. And guess what? He drove back the east wind all night. That very same man, by the Ruach. So therefore, who are you? He did it by the Ruach. All that's by the Ruach. When you born of the Ruach, that was just born of flesh is flesh. That was born of Ruach is Ruach. So which one are you born of? Which one are you born of? Are you born of the Ruach or are you born of flesh? Or are you giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons? Because that's the whole point. He said it inhibit your consciousness and your mind. But guess what? And guess what? And then guess what? This woman wasn't out of place either. She wasn't overstepping her bounds and trying to put herself over a man either. How you say? She stayed right in her lane. And by staying in her lane, she was powerful. Right? And people don't understand that either. He said a man, he showed the congregation, but he said a woman powerful if she stay in her lane. And guess what? The Ruach was moving. And guess what? He accomplished, he won his battle. Just like she said he would. And Yahuwah routed Sisera and all his chariots and all his army before Barak by the edge of the sword. And Sisera got down from his chariot and fled away on foot. They go to fleeing serpent. We talked about the fleeing serpent. The Shaitan, he came to what? Devour male and female's life. They go to fleeing serpent again. Same Nakash. Same serpent. Shaitan. And get what? And Barak pursued the chariots and the army of Hasharoth, Hagoim, and all his army of Sisera, and fell. All the army of Sisera fell by the edge of the sword. Not a man was left. But Sisera fled on foot to the tent of Jael. Here we go. And guess what happened? That's the commander and leader. The fleeing serpent then went from a woman said, hey, you gonna win the army, and guess what? He won. Just like Yahuwah said, she a prophetess. But then the man he needed to kill fled away, and his kabod, his glory. The glory is to kill the head man. Take him out. I need to take him down. The wife of Heber. Now she a wife. She in Isha too. She married. What's wrong with being married? They both married, and they both in subjection. But guess what? He don't went into the wrong tent. When the Nakash come in your tent, when your Ahal in your tent, when the Nakash come in your tent, you need to be ready. He said, when you marry. He said, you need to be ready. He said, a man that came in my tent, the oppressor, and the tent of Jael, the wife of Eber the Kenite. For there was shalom between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael came out to meet Sisera and said to him, turn aside, my master, turn aside to me, and do not be afraid. He's like, hey, Nakash. Hey, Shaitan fleeing serpent. Hey, turn up in here. Yeah, come on up in here, Satan. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I ain't gonna do nothing to you. Don't be afraid. So he turned aside to her in the tent, in the booth, in the hall, in your sukkah, your temporary dwelling, and she covered him with a rug. She hid him. She married too. She hit him with a rug. And he said to her, please give me a little water to drink. He said, give me some water. As rain and snow come down from Shaby'ay, so did the Barbie that goes around mouth. It shall not come, he said it will accomplish what I sent it to do. You know what Deborah said? You know what Deborah said? And guess what? She turned aside to her into the tent, and she covered him with a rug. And he said to her, please give me a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. You know what Yahusha asked the woman at the well? He's like, man, woman, give me something to drink. He's like, huh? But guess what? And she opened a skin of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. Like she was an Isha. She was a wife, which means she was a servant. She ain't mind serving her enemies. You know how Yahusha says, it is said. It is said. Right, so this book of Matthew. This is the book of Matthew. It is said, right? It's the teachings of Yahusha Mashiach. You say what? This is Luke chapter 6 and verse 24. Luke chapter 6, look at Luke chapter 6, verse 27. Luke 6, 27. But I say to you who hear, keep on hearing. Keep on hearing, but do not hear. Keep on seeing, but do not see. Lest you hear with your eyes, lest you hear with your ears, see with your eyes, and understand with your heart, and you be converted, and I will heal you. Luke 6, 27. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. What did Jael do? What's she doing up in there? Barak those who curse you. Pray for those who abuse you. To the one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold the tunic from him. Tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you. Isn't that what she did? She was a wife. She was married. Deborah was married too. Deborah could nabba. Jael was wise as a serpent. She was walking in wisdom, just like she was walking in the teachings of Yahusha Mashiach. You know what she did? Can you hear? And he says, do not withhold your tunic either. He says, he says, not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you, and from the one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. And as you wish others would do to you, do so to them. If you love those who love you, what benefit is that to you? For even the sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what benefit is that to you? For even the sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to get back the same amount. But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be the sons and daughters of the Most High Yahuwah. For he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Jael. Now you see why he said, but your kabod gonna be given to a woman. He just did it. He said, man, because you follow the teaching of Yahusha. Man, he just did it. He just did it right in his face, and he can't do nothing about it. Because he said, it's the teachings of Yahusha Mashiach. You can't do nothing. He just did it. And he said, and your reward will be great. And he said, I'm going to get you for everything you've done. My reward going to be with you, though. Behold, I am coming, and I'm going to get everybody for what you have done. He said, what you done, Nakash? What you done, Isha? What you done, woman? What you done, Adam? And your reward will be great, and you will be the sons of the Most High, for he is kind to the ungrateful and evil. Be merciful even as your Father is merciful, right? And he said, why? He said, what? Right, so going back to the book of Judges, we almost finished. Book of Judges, chapter 4. The book of Judges chapter 4, and verse 11. Actually, 4 and verse 20. Verse 20, 4 and 20. And he said to her, stand at the opening of the tent, and if anyone comes and asks you, going over to verse 18. He says, and Jael came out to meet Caesarea and said to him, turn aside, my master. Turn aside, my master, turn aside to me. Do not be afraid. So he turned aside to her into the tent, and she covered him in a rug. He said, be kind. He said, only to the grateful and the ungrateful. And he said to her, please give me a little water to drink. He said, give to everyone who asks you. It don't matter if they're evil or grateful or ungrateful. Evil, it don't matter if they're evil. Your evil husband, he said, this still do it. And guess what he said? For I am thirsty. And guess what? People get thirsty. He said, your evil Isha. He said, people get thirsty. Your evil children, the evil people out here. He said, I'm thirsty. And she opened a skin of milk and gave him a drink and covered him. And she covered him. She covered him. She covered him. Then the Nakash, the fleeing serpent, Shaitan. And guess what? And he said to her, stand at the opening of the tent, and if any man comes and asks you, is anyone here, say no. He's literally telling her what to do now. He like, please, if is anyone here, he say no, if anyone come ask you. But Jael, the wife of Eber, took a tent peg. So notice what he asked her to lie. You know what happens when he tell you to lie? That's the Nakash. You know what the Nakash say? If any man comes and asks you, is anyone here? Say no. I want you to lie. But you know what Jael said? You know when the Nakash tell you to lie? This is what you do to the serpent. But Jael, the wife of Eber, took a tent peg and took a hammer in her hand. Oh man. He said, what you doing that for? He said, this is what you gotta have to do. And I ain't telling you to kill nobody. This is just what you talking about in the spirit world. When you talking about your spiritual battles in your life. She took a tent peg in her hand. Then she went softly to him. Notice how she went softly, still gentle. And guess what? And drove the tent peg in the temple until it went down into the ground while he was lying fast asleep from weariness. She drove that tent peg right in his forehead. She drove it right in his head. So he died. That's what's going to happen to you. He said, for the wages of sin is death. Especially when you're like in the Nakash and you try to get somebody to lie. For you. But why he did that? And behold, as Bayrak was pursuing Caesarea, Jael went out to meet him and said to him, come, and I will show you the man whom you are seeking. Notice she took out the Nakash, and she still told the truth. Here go the man, because he was trying to get her to lie the first time. He's like, please say no. Lie for me. He's like, no, she drove a tent peg right through his neck. And then she said, come see the man that he tried to get me to lie and try to make it seem like he wasn't here. Come see this man out in here. And guess what? And behold, as Barak was pursuing Sisera, Jael went out to meet him and said to him, come, and I will show you the man whom you are seeking. So he went into her tent, her hall, her tent. That's what he said, when men come in your house try to commit adultery with you. What you think you're supposed to do? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to cover him up. That's what people do. You ain't supposed to cover nobody up. He's like, come in here and see the tent of the man you are seeking. So he went into the tent, and there lay Sisera dead, for the wages of sin is death. With the tent peg in his temple. Man, it was right in his temple. Right, this is Judges, that word for Judges chapter 4 in verse 27. Judges chapter 4 verse 22. That word for temple. Judges chapter 4 in verse 22, that word for temple is rakah. Rakah. It means that is the side of the head. The side, he said the thinness, the side of the head. I mean, he was sleeping on his side of his head. You know, you turn your head to the side and you sleep. And she put the tent peg right in the side of his head. And guess what happened? Going to verse 20, where we at? Yeah, here we go. And guess what? He says, so he went into her tent, and there lay Sisera dead with the tent peg in his temple. So on that day, Elohim subdued. Who did it? Who did that? This is why you don't want to play with Yahuwah. He said, with male and females. Especially the Ganaba. You don't want to, this is why you need your powers back. I need your powers. He said, I need your powers back. He said, you don't want to do that. Especially those who follow teaching Yahusha Mashiach. What you think Yahuwah going to do to you when he come back here? Yahusha going to do the same thing Jael did to that man. He going to do the same thing to you. And guess what? Judges chapter 4 verse 23. And so on that day, Elohim subdued Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the people of Yasharal. And the hand of the people of Yasharal pressed harder and harder against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan. Say what? Man, people have no idea. People have no idea. Right? So they're going to the book of Romans chapter 12 and verse 14. Romans chapter 12 verse 14. Bless those who persecute you, and barak those who curse them. This is teaching of Yahusha Mashiach. And he said, and do not curse them. What Jael do? But he said, he told her to lie. That was a whole nother different subject. She was doing kind things to him too. Give him something to drink. Give him everything he wanted. But then when he said, be like Satan. You know how Satan is. When he lied, he speaks of his own character. But he's a liar and a father of lies. He a fleeing serpent, Shaitan. That's what he was. Verse 15, rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. He said, don't be haughty. You know what the haughty person would have done? Yeah, he ain't not in the tent. He not in here. He said, but associate with the lowly. And he knew the gentle people were going to lead the sheep, because he loved the one with the offspring in their belly. Never be wise in your own sight. That's why he say, follow the teaching Yahusha Mashiach. You know what happened after that? repay no one evil for evil. That's what happened to him. Because she put that tent peg right in his neck, in his forehead, in his side of his head. Woo, boy, don't do it though. I know, he said, I want to put it in the neck, right? He said, you can't. He said, you got to restrain yourself now. But guess what happened? But give thought to what is honorable in the sight of all. But Elohim did destroy him though. He did. He's not saying you can't defend yourself either. I assure you, you can't defend yourself. It said, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peacefully with all. He was like, man, if it's in me. Beloved, never avenge yourselves, but leave it to the wrath of Elohim. Whose wrath was that on that king of Sisera? Let me guess. It was the wrath of Jael. No, that was Yahuwah did that. He destroyed him. And Deborah was not all in the camp. And everybody was scared to go to war without him. He said, I need your powers back. If possible, so far it depends on you, live peacefully with all. Beloved, never avenge yourself, but leave it to the wrath of Elohim. For it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says Yahuwah. Who did that? To the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. Yeah, he got something to drink. She got some milk and she gave him something to eat. And then he says, feed him. And if he's thirsty, give him something to drink. Man, I'm real thirsty, man. What do you think they gave Yahusha sour wine on totality? They didn't even give him no milk like she was real kind to him. And he did more evil than Yahusha did. They gave Yahusha bitter wine, sour wine. But you see him, he said, if he's thirsty, give him something to drink. For by so doing it, you will heap coals of fire, coals on his head. Ooh, why do you think Jael did that? There were coals of fire right on his head. He didn't even know it. Why do you think he gonna cast Shaitan and all them beings in the lake of fire? I'm coming back to getting in the Chdsh. The fleeing Shaitan. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Jael like, fire, right? But at the same time, Yahuwah said, I did it. He said, I did it. That's why you don't want to play around. He said, what? You don't want to play around? He said, man, don't play around with him. Right, so this book of Acts chapter 5, verse 1. This is why you want to play around with the Ruach. We both male and female. He said, don't play around with the Ruach now. Don't play around with it. It's Acts 5:1. But a man named Ananias with his wife, Sapphira, right? So you got a subjection, right? Sold a piece of property and with his wife's knowledge, kept back for himself some of the proceeds and brought only a part of it and laid it at the Shalah king's feet. So, with the wife's knowledge. So, why do you think Jael said, here go the man right here that was trying to give me the lie, said he wanted in the tent. You know what? Keep quiet. Don't say nothing. Meek and quiet Ruach. Is that the right thing to do? No. You know, I say H no. Or we both going to H-E-L. Right? You get what I'm saying? Like people say, heck H no. that's a metaphor, but that's the same thing. H no. Right? He said, and he kept back for himself some of the proceeds and brought part of it and laid it at the Shalah king's feet. But Koph said, Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the God's Ruach? Now you see why Jael say, oh, you trying to fill my heart to lie to my brother. Who looking for you, fleeing serpent? You know, meek and quiet Ruach. He said, you lied to Qahalath Ruach. You just read in Philip's house. You see what happened in there. With the Naba and the whole Qahalath Ruach and the 4 women who Naba, Philip in the house, everybody was like, man, look at here. Shaul was in there. He's like, man, what's going on? The Ruach here. And guess what? He said, I'm ready to go. I'm going to go right to their face. But Qahalath answered and said, Ananias, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Qahalath Ruach and keep back for yourself part of the proceeds of the land? While it remained unsold, did it not remain your own? And after it was sold, was it not at your disposal? Why is this that you have contrived this deed in your heart? Why you did this lie? That's what he said. This lie. In your heart. Because it was a lie. That's all it is. That's why he told us, do not lie one to another, seeing that you have crucified the old self with its practices, and put on a new self, which is renewed in the image and the likeness of the image of your Creator. Because Yahuwah is not a man he shall lie, or a woman who lie. That's why Jael ain't lie. Because when the Ruach moving, when Yahuwah doing something, I assure you it's a setup. Because he ain't going to be lying. Ain't going to be no lies told. I promise you. And guess what? And after it was sold, it was not your disposal. And why is it that you contrive this deed in your heart? He said, I'm going to reward everybody according to their deeds when I come back here. I'm going to get everybody for what you have done. You have not lied to man, but to Elohim. Uh-oh. Now you see why when Jael had him in the tent, he don't even know that he wasn't lying. He was trying to get her to lie, not to man, but to Elohim. He ain't know it. And he thought it was good. He said, you ain't good, buddy. And when Ananias heard these words, he fell down and breathed his last. He said, well, the wages of sin is death, because the lie is death. Lie is death. I'm going to reward everybody for everything they've done in their body. I'm going to get everybody for everything you've done. And he died his death. And great fear came upon all who heard it. The young men rose and wrapped him and carried him out and buried him. He buried that man. That man was gone to the spirit world. And after an interview about 3 hours, his wife came in. What is he doing? What is Qahalath doing right here? He's judging. It's called judging with the Ruach. Judging with the Ruach. That's the same thing Deborah was doing. And everybody came. He said, didn't Yahuwah tell you to go to war and go beat these people? But being that you did it, he said, your kabod going to be given to a woman, though. That what happened when you got prophesied. Sons and daughters, men serving, male serving. All these things happen. That's what happens. Nobody get away with nothing. About a Ruach. In an interview of about 3 hours, his wife came in, not working, not knowing what had happened. And Qahalath said to her, tell me whether you sold the land for so much. And she said, yes, for so much. But Qahalath said to her, how is it that you agreed together? Can two walk together except they be agreed? You know what Adam and Yahuwah did? He said, how is it that you agreed together? How is it that you and Adam agreed together? To test the Ruach of Yahuwah. Uh-oh. See, I'm telling you, it's different. Ruach. That which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of Ruach is Ruach. He said, I need your powers back. It says, behold, the feet of those who have buried your husband are at the door. They carry you, and they will carry you out. The Ruach ain't no joke. He said, how you know people got the Ruach? And they judging according to the Ruach. Not according to what you may think. Immediately she fell down at his feet and breathed her last. He said, this happened immediately. This wasn't no, oh yeah, you know, being an execution against an evil work is not soon speedily executed. The children of Adam is set to do evil. This seemed like they were executed real quick. Oh, this was executed real fast. Yahuwah has mercy on whom he had mercy, and compassion he had compassion. And when the young men came in and they found her dead, they carried her out and buried her beside her husband. And great fear came upon the whole congregation and the whole assembly, the whole body, and upon all who heard these things. Right, because they were all in Jerusalem being persecuted by Yahudim, Yasharal, elders, high priests, all the people, but they had their own faction, and people were dropping dead by the Ruach. Verse 12, now many signs and wonders were regularly done among the people. So this is a sign and a wonder. And many signs and wonders going to happen. Anyway, say Satan going to be able to do? Didn't Satan say he's going to do the same thing? Satan going to be able to do signs and wonders if it were possible to deceive the very elect. This is one of the signs and wonders he's going to be able to do. Will you be deceived? You think he can't make people drop dead? Oh my gosh, it must be the Ruach. He said, man, he said, I need your powers back. He said, I need your powers back. You need to get your powers back. Because there's a lot of things getting ready to happen. People don't even know it. Now, many of the signs and wonders were regularly done among the people by the hand of the Shalakim. By the hands. You mean Yad and Kar. And they were all together in Shaluma's portico. You mean the two pillars? He said portico. You know, Jachin and Boaz, you know, all that, you know, people don't know about. And guess what? None of the rest dared to join them. But the people held them in high esteem. They were scared. They were terrified. You know why? Because of their power. Because of what they can do. You just saw people drop dead just by talking. You know, you think about that. Ain't nobody don't want to be a part of that. They be like, hold up, yeah, these people dropping. Hold up, I don't want nothing to do with that. And they were afraid to join them, right? And guess what it says? But the people held them in high esteem. And more than ever, believers were added to Yahuwah, multitudes of both men and women. He said both male and female. It's a kar nakubah. So that they even carried out the sick into the streets and laid them on cots and mats, that as Kaf came by, at least his shadow might fall on some of them. The people also gathered from the towns around Jerusalem, bringing the sick and those afflicted with unclean spirits, and they were all healed. They're all healed. He said, so what does this got to do with anything? It has everything to do with a lot of stuff, right? It's everything to do with a lot of stuff. And a lot of the things that people say, he said, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? That's the whole point. 2 Kings chapter 22 and verse 11. 2 Kings chapter 22 verse 11. And when the king heard the words of the book of the law, he tore his clothes. Right? When you hear the Torah, you say, take no thought of what you're going to eat or drink, what you're going to put on. For all these things, the Gentiles seek after. He's like, tear that junk off. He's like, the only thing you need to be thinking about is seek ye first the Malkuth and all his righteousness. Right? You start to hear that. And the king commanded Hilkiah the priest, and Anikam, the son of Zaphan, and Akor, the son of Micaiah, the Shaphan, the secretary, and Isaiah, the king's servant, saying, secretary. And guess what? Go inquire of Yahuwah for me, for the people, and for all Yehuda. He said, go inquire of Yahuwah. Go inquire of Yahuwah for Yehuda concerning the words of this book that has been found. You see, we finding all these books now. He said, what's going on? Well, y'all better wake up. Why? Because Yahusha getting ready to come back here. And people say, why he finding all these books now? He said, man, these books coming out. He said, man, what's going on? And get what it says. For great is the wrath of Yahuwah that is kindled against us, because our fathers have not obeyed the words of this book to do according to all that is written concerning us. So Hilkiah the priest and Anikam and Kabor and Shaphan and Isaiah went to Huldah the prophetess, the wife of Shalom, the son of Tikva, the son of Haras, keeper of the wardrobe. She was married. What you saying? She was not in subjection to her husband. She would lose her powers. But guess what happened? And Huldah the prophet, the wife of Shalom, the son of Tikva, the son of Haras, keeping the wardrobe. Now she lived in Jerusalem in the second quarter. And they talked with her. They did what? Don't nobody talk to my Isha. You know what they said. And guess what? And she said to them, she was meek and quiet, she ain't say nothing. She said to them, thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, because she could prophesy, just like Philip had 4 daughters that could know. And when they say, thus says Yahuwah, thus says the Ruach Kadah. He said, you might want to listen. And guess what? Thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim of Yasharal, tell the man who sent you to me, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will bring disaster upon this place. You know what Yirmiyahu told Baruch? Don't seek after nothing that's great. He said, for Yahuwah going to bring disaster on the whole earth. In the book of Qahalath, he said, cast your bread upon the waters. You don't know what disaster is going to happen on the earth. Guess what? And it says, thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will bring disaster upon this place and upon its inhabitants in all the words of the book that the king of Yehuda has read. Ooh. She just like, ain't nothing you can do about it. What you gonna do? Change it? Yahuwah said, I am Yahuwah, I change not. He said, as rain and snow come down from Shaby'ay, so does the Barbie that goes out of my mouth. It shall not return to me void. It shall accomplish everything I sent it to do. Because they have forsaken me and have made offerings to other gods. He said, man, y'all worship other idols. They worship idols. That they might provoke me to anger with all the works of their hands. Therefore, my wrath will be kindled against this place, and it will not be quenched. Now, you see, we just read in the book of Hazum. He said, and he told you not to avenge yourself. He said, you leave it to the wrath of Yahuwah. But make sure you love your enemies too. But to the king of Yehuda, who sent you to inquire of Yahuwah, thus said you say to him, thus says Yahuwah, the Elohim Yasharal, regarding the words that you have heard, because your heart was penitent. We just talked about penitence. It was remorseful and had much regret. Because what did he do after he heard of the bar? He tore his clothes. Seek ye first the Malkuth and all his righteousness. What profit? What are you thinking about what you're going to eat and what you're going to wear after you done transgress Yahuwah the bar? Tear that stuff off. Why? Seek ye first the Malkuth and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. I got to tear this stuff. Man, this junk don't mean nothing. These clothes and all this stuff. He like, man, I got to get this thing correct. You know how they want to look good, look all great. Man, you better tear that stuff off. This ain't no game. And what Huldah say? This ain't no game. Deborah already told Bayra, he like, man, this ain't no game. Jael, you see what she did. He like, man, look at him. This ain't no game. He said, y'all just, I'm sure Philip and his $4, I'm sure they had won the activation a couple times. And I'm sure they said some stuff which ain't written in the book. But I'm sure they said some stuff. It was just like they said. He said, you better wake up. Right? Verse 18, but to the king of Yehuda who sent you to inquire of Yahuwah, thus says you say to him, thus says Yahuwah Elohim, the Elohim Yashar, regarding the words that you have heard. Because your heart was penitent and you humbled yourself. Oh man, here we go. Sana, Anu, Ana, Sana, Shafal, Kana. Because you humbled yourself before Yahuwah when you heard how I spoke against this place and against its inhabitants, that they should become a desolation, abomination that make desolation, and a curse, and you have torn your clothes and wept before me. I also have heard you, declares Yahuwah. This ain't no game. He said, I need your powers back. He said, it's time for you to activate. He says, and they cursed and have torn your clothes and wept before me. I also have heard you, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, behold, I will gather you to your fathers, and you shall be gathered to your grave in Shalom. Huh? You're going to be gathered to in your grave in Shalom. Now you see how you're going to be gathered to your grave, gathered to die in peace. You got to show humility. You got to tell your role. You got to do something. Not be boasting, man, after you done did something wrong, you be boasting and running around like you did everything right, and you barak yourself in your heart. No. He said, because you did that, because you tore your robes, because you, Aydah, Anu, Anua, Sana, Kana, because you did that, because you humbled yourself, and you went down and you tore your robes off, when you realized you weren't seeking first the Malkuth and all his righteousness, and you realized that, and you wept, and you cried, and you showed tears, and you were penitent, and you had good confession as the vision of Azarah said, and you had all these things, and guess what? Yahuwah said you're going to go to your grave in Shalom. Get what it says? And you shall be gathered to the grave in Shalom, and your eyes shall not see all the disaster that I will bring upon this place. It didn't change the disaster, though. The same way you can't change judgment. You can't change the Shaby'ay, Turah, the 7 trumpets, the 7 bowls, and the 7 vials. You can't change it. But still, you can go to your grave in Shalom, though. Because Yahusha come to execute judgment and to reward everybody for what you've done in your body. But if you've done this, and you believe on his son, and you keep his commandments, and you do this, guess what happens? And they brought back word to the king. Guess what it said, verse 26. Then the king sent, and all the elders of Yehuda and Jerusalem were gathered to him. Right, so they taking the words of a woman. And the king went up to the house of Yahuwah, and with him all the men of Yehuda and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and the priests and the Navi'im, and all the people, both small and great. And guess what he said? And he read in their hearing all the words of the book of the covenant, Berith, that had been found in the house of Yahuwah. And the king stood by the pillar and made a covenant before the Yahuwah to walk after the Yahuwah and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all his heart and all his soul, and to perform the words of this Berith that were written in the book. And all the people joined in the Berith. From a prophetess, warning him. And they inquired of a prophetess, a woman who is married, who was in subjection to her husband, who feared Yahuwah, whom they inquired of about the word of Yahuwah and what they should do. And guess what? And all the people were joined to the Berith. And the king commanded Hilkiah the high Kohan and the priests of the 2nd order and the keepers of the threshold to bring to the temple of the house of Yahuwah all the vessels made by Baal for Ashereth and for all the hosts of Shamayim, and he burned them outside Jerusalem in the field of Kidron and carried their ashes to Bethel. He said, man, I burned that stuff. You know how you burn something in the fire? When that thing burned, it ashes. And he disposed the priests whom the king of Yehuda had ordained and made an offering in the high places of the city of Yehuda in Jerusalem, right? Right, so we almost finished, right? We almost done. This 1 Corinthians 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brothers. So you think your brothers got spiritual gifts? And it says, I do not want you to be uninformed, right? So if you only think brothers got spiritual gifts, you're an uninformed individual. Keep on hearing, but do not hear. Keep on seeing, but do not see. Lest you hear with your eyes, see with your ears, and understand your heart, and you be converted, I will heal you. That's what Huldah just did when that king inquired of him. Lest you hear with your ears, you see with your eyes, and hear with your ears, and understand with your heart. Now you be converted, and I will heal you. And you start throwing things away, man. You gotta get rid of this, that. You gotta get rid of that. Man, we can't have that. Can't touch that. Touch not, handle not, taste not. Can't do that. I ain't your drink offering. You doing this, I ain't doing that. He said your power's gotta be on all the time. And it says, and I do not want to be uninformed. You know that when you were pagans, you were led astray by mute idols. Isn't that what they cast away we just read about? They were led astray. The king of Yahusha, but a woman, Huldah, had to tell them that y'all are wicked. And guess what? It ain't going to stop the disaster going to happen to you, but you're going to go to your grave in shalom, man. However you were led, and then he said, Yahuwah said he's going to send this, he's going to lead you gently. But guess what? Therefore, I want you to understand that no one speaking by the Ruach of Elohim ever says Yahusha is a curse. He said he's never going to do that. And no one can say Yahusha is master except in the Kudash Ruach. He said Yahusha is master to the bowl of Yahuwah. Every knee gonna bow. Why would you say? Get what it says. Now there are varieties of gifts by the same Ruach. And there are varieties of service, but the same Ruach, same master. And there are varieties of activities, but it is the same Elohim who empowers them all in every one. That's both male and female. To each is given the manifestation of the Ruach for the common good. For who? For everybody. To save people's lives. For one is given the Ruach of utterance of wisdom, Hakma, and to another utterance of knowledge, according to the same Ruach. To another Amunah, by the same Ruach. To another gifts of healing, by the same Ruach. To another working of miracles. To another prophecy. Huh? To another ability to distinguish between spirits. To another various kinds of tongues. To another interpretation of tongues. All these are empowered by one. Oh, by who? By you? He said, we powerful. He said, you empowered by one person. And empowered by one in the same Ruach. There's only one person who can get that type. That's Yahuwah himself. Who apportions to each one individually as he wills. He said, Yahuwah do what he want to do. What you going to do? Stop and be like, yeah, you know. The blank you talking about, woman. You go ahead and you do that you want to. No man say Yahusha Mashiach is a curse. You go ahead and you do that junk you want to. You a fool now. Don't be a fool. Yahuwah take you out of here. When the man speak, he say, man, Yahuwah take you out of here. Basically by the Ruach, but he'll take you out of here. This ain't no game. He said, when this thing get fully activated, I know people say, when this thing get fully activated, this ain't no game. I know people want to play games. This ain't no game. He said, man, this ain't no superhero movie. This is real life. This is real life. He'll do what he want. You know, people say, he ain't going to do that. I said, okay. You do whatever you want. You can believe whatever you want to believe. He said, I got to believe with full Amunah, not half Amunah. If I believe with half Amunah, then I ain't going to believe Yahusha fulfilled the things that women did in the Torah. That's going to be half Amunah. That ain't going to be full Amunah. People believe all the other stuff, but they can't believe y'all. It says half Amunah. I already know he did a lot of stuff. Why would I believe less? Verse 12. For just as the body is one and has many members, this is your cold trouble. This is your cold trouble. And all the members of the body, though many are one body, so it is with Mashiach. For in one Ruach we were all immersed into one body. So I don't know what people be thinking. You will do what they want. The only thing you just do is none of your business. Why he gave him that? Why he gave her that? Why he had that ability? Ain't none of your business. It's just the fact that he did. And you need to be quiet. And when he say you need to be in subjection to everything. Because this ain't no game. For in one Ruach we were all immersed into one body. Yahudi, or it says Greek, slaves or free. And all were made to drink of one Ruach. For the body does not consist of one member, but many. Right? So you have these vigilantes going out. He say, man, you know, good and well, a lot of things people ain't supposed to be doing. He can say, you know, people be saying stuff. I be like, man, you don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be saying that. You don't need to be trying to do that. You don't need to be trying to do stuff. It ain't what you're supposed to be doing. Some people, man, she was just a keeper of the wardrobe, just chilling. Hey, you know, I'm just chilling. This is what I do. I have this little wardrobe thing that I do, you know, if you need it. But I also got this thing that I can do also. Matter of fact, if I say something, buddy, you better make sure you do it. And you better make sure you understand it's going to happen too. And you best be afraid. Like, people be thinking this is a joke. This is not a game. This is not a game. He say, man, it don't matter what age they is. I assure you. Old, young, it don't matter. You get what it says. And all were made to drink of one Ruach, for the body does not consist of one member but many. He said, oh, he think you the whole body. No, I don't. He said, man, we trying to activate. He said, activate. He said, activate. Activation. Ruach Marakaf al Pani. He's trying to activate. You ain't trying to suppress the body. You suppressing things. No, you need to let that stuff, man. You gotta let that. The Ruach is free. He said, it's like free hand, right? He say free hand, right? This thing free. If the foot should say, if the regal, because I am the hand, because I am not the hand, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less a part of the body. And if the ear should say, because I am not the eye, the iron, notice how these things, all the aleph bit. The iron, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less part of the body. And if the whole body were an eye, an iron, where would be the sense of hearing? Because keep on hearing and do not hear. Keep on seeing and do not see. Man, we need this thing to work. People are like, oh, we don't need these things to work in 2025 AD. Man, you need to keep on hearing. You want that to happen to the body? Keep on hearing and do not hear. Keep on seeing and do not see. Unless you hear with your ears and see with your eyes and understand with your heart, and you be converted, and I will heal you. So you must want us to continue to be stupid, to continue to be ignorant. No, that's not the reason. That's not the reason. No, you need to wake up. You need to get your higher consciousness back, man. You need to get from a remedial education and get your mind back, because your mind need to be expanded. Your tent need to be enlarged. And the only way them tents gonna be enlarged, you're gonna get more tent pegs. We need more tent pegs. Ain't no more this, oh yeah, you know, I don't want to do it. No, we need a bigger tent. We need to enlarge. We need to get, he said, bigger, faster, stronger. You know how they say? We need bigger, faster, stronger. Ain't no more time to be hiding. He's like, I don't want. That's too much information. Nah, you need ain't no more of that. Bigger, faster, stronger. He said, you got to expand. The weaker, he said, you only strong as your weakest link. Verse 16, and if the ear should say, because I am not the eye, I do not belong to the body, that would not make it any less part of the body. And if the whole body were an eye, where would be the sense of hearing? If the whole body were an ear, where would be the sense of smell? But as it is, Elohim arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. Do whatever you want. Do what chose you. And if all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, yet one body. There are many parts, yet one body. There are many parts. The eye cannot say to the hand. The iron cannot say to the kaf. The iron cannot say to the yod, I have no need of you. You can't say that aleph. You know what? I only want aleph bis gamadella ha uzin kat teat. I don't want the yod. Then if you ain't got the yod, then you ain't gonna be able to get the iron. Then your sight gonna be off on the 16th letter of the alphabet, and you're gonna get another iron, and you're gonna put that iron with the heat, the ivory line iron. You're gonna put that iron on you. I don't want that iron. Get that iron out of here. Take that iron back to where you got it from. Take that iron back to Osiris. I don't want that stuff. And you want to do? I'm gonna put that iron in the other iron place. No, you're not. You need to get that iron up out of here. That iron ain't gonna do nothing but take people to Sheol, right? The same thing that what happened there. They had to get rid of them asterisks and all them idols out of their heart. Yeah, you led astray. You gotta get rid of that stuff. Right? Everybody got their own thing, but you can't bring that stuff in the body of Yahusha Mashiach. You gotta get that stuff out of here, out of you. Even the desires of it. You need to learn the vastness of the iron and how great it is. You have no idea, people. He said we can get it. Man, it says Elohim arranged the members in the body, each one of them as he chose. And it says, and if all were a single member, where would the body be? As it is, there are many parts, yet one body. The eye cannot say to the hand, the iron cannot say to the yod, I have no need of you, nor again the head, the rosh. You know the rosh. You know the rosh. He said the 20th letter of the alphabet. Imagine Rosh equals to 200. Okay, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2, 2 plus 0 plus 0 equals 2. And the 20th letter of the alphabet is Rosh, and equals to 2. And what you see in the clouds? The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet. He said the Rosh to the regal, your feet. You know the feet that the seraphim covered with their wings? I have no need of you. He says, I have no need of you. On the contrary, the parts of the body that seem to be weaker are indispensable. And on those parts of the body that we think less honorable, we bestow great honor. But guess what? And our unpresentable parts are treated with greater modesty, greater gentleness, which our more presentable parts do not require. Some people don't. The parts of the body, he said you don't require all that. He said some people don't need all that. Some people need all that other stuff. Some parts of the body don't need it. He said some parts of the body, he said we don't need it. But some do. So give it to them. He says bestow great honor, and the unpresentable parts are treated with greater modesty, which our more presentable parts do not require. But Elohim has so composed the body, giving greater honor to the part that lacked it, that there may be no division in the body, but that the members may have the same care one for another. Why? You could fake it. Man, you could fake all types of care online. You know, that fake care. All that stuff fake. Why do you think the internet got so fake? It got so fake now to where people don't even know what's in and what's out. They don't even know what they don't understand nothing. He said everybody going after their own gain. They're going after their own prosperity. They're going after their own recognition and fame. They boasting and people don't even know it. You're going after your own stuff. It's all fake. Because when the Ruach is the real Ruach, the real one, understand. There's a lot of things, he said, I'm going to exercise myself in this. No, it's just some things you just can't do. Even if you try, you know how to say, I'm going to try to do this. You know how people say, I'm going to try. He said, nah, I can't do that like that. Who gave that person that? He said, that's the only reason that person can do what he do. Ain't no way you're going to try to, I'm going to try to do that and this and that. No, I don't know how to do that. I can't. That there may be no division in the body, but that the members may have the same care one for another. If one member suffers, they all suffer together. Why do you think that man was like, y'all better get these idols up out of here? You better get these asters out of here. Man, who's already told us? What y'all doing? What are y'all doing? People say, you ain't supposed to have no idols in your heart. Ezekiel already told you, he nodded and said, these men set up idols in their heart. They just trying to sway you and try to they came in your house, they just looking at you, you sitting on the couch, they just sitting there looking at you. He said, man, I already know you got idols in your Lord. And guess what he said? Guess what he said? But the members may have the same care one for another. If one suffers, all suffer together. If one member is honored, all rejoice together. Now you are the body of Mashiach and individually members of it. They say, you ain't nothing. You ain't a part of this. Maybe he said, maybe in your neck of the woods. I assure you. He said, we are. And just like every other person throughout the four corners of the Aydah. He said, ain't no one place how you say, the epitome of what it's supposed to be. Because you know why? Because Yahuwah made it like that. That no man may boast in the sight of Yahuwah. He made it like that. Now you are the body of Mashiach, individually members of it. And Elohim has appointed in the body, first Shalakim, second Nabi'im, right? His first, second. How you say? Why do you think the king? Notice how, let me show you something. He was saying, how a leader? Oh, you're a leader. When the woman Naboth, who was the Naboth? And Deborah Naboth? Philip had 4 that Naboth. Who inquired of him? The kings, the leaders, the rulers. And then the priests taught them. And then they looked in the book. And then they made a decree to put away all the gods. So who was over them? Even though they had all this stuff, but who was over them? First, Shalakim, that's the Shalakim. Second, the Nabi, the prophets, the Nabi, the prophetesses and the prophets. Why do you think they inquired of them? Why do you think they inquired of them, male and female? Why do you think they inquired of them? Beware. Beware. He said, I ain't saying nobody, like it's these people quick to say, you false, you an error. No. It's just the fact that you don't understand the Torah. Know the power of Elohim. That's the only reason you don't know. First, Shalakim. Second, Nabi'im. We talking about prophetess who are in subjection to their husband. But people better wake up. People can't be saying this stuff no more. And guess what? Then after that, third, teachers. Who was teaching the people? Put away the idols and gods and all that stuff. After they Naboth and Nabiyah, Nabi, and the Nabiyah and the prophets and the prophetess told them what to do. And then they had to do what they said. Then the teachers had to teach. You better start teaching this. You better start telling these people this stuff. You better tell these people to put away these idols. Man, you better explain that thing the way it's supposed to be explained. Didn't Yahuwah tell you to do this? Matter of fact, these men set up idols in their heart. Keep on seeing and keep on hearing, but do not hear and do not understand, right? What do you think this is? And then the teachers, third, and he says, third, teachers, then miracles. Because remember we just talked about your miracle. These are for signs and seasons, days, months, and years. We talked about Mafah, Mofay, that's a miracle. You are a miracle in the earth. These are prophetic signs in the earth. This is serious. gifts of healing, helping, administrating. What do you think that's just female jobs? You say administrating. That male, we just read about the secretary that he had. Didn't we just read that? That was a male. They said secretaries ain't nothing but women. Administration ain't nothing but women. What? Uh-oh. Gifts of healing, helping, ministrating, and various kinds of tongues. Are all shalakim? No. Are all prophets, prophetesses, nabiyahs, nabi? No. Because that wouldn't make no sense. Are all teachers? No. Do all work miracles? No. Do all possesses gifts of healing? No. Do all speak with tongues? No. Do all interpret? No. But earnestly desire the higher gifts. Why would he say desire the higher gifts? First, shalakim. Second, nabi. So who are the people nabi and shalakim? Who are the people scared of? Who are the people that they were nabi? Yah? What he said? What she said? What he said? What did she say? Repeat that again. Y'all better wake up. And then these things, they weren't out of place either. When you would say speak, they speak. When you would say set up, they shut up. They silent. These are all a part of it. Earnestly desire the higher gifts, and I will show you a more excellent way. There's a more excellent way what you see now, what you see today. I know people think it's the most excellent thing on earth. It ain't. There's a more excellent way than what you actually, he said, what you see people walking in. And he said, guess what? It's just like any other thing. He said, and just like any other thing. Right? And that's all part of it, right? This is Ephesians chapter, we almost finished, man. Ephesians a lot more. Oh my gosh. Ephesians chapter 4 in verse 1. Therefore, a prisoner of Yahuwah urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling of which you were called, in all humility. Now you see why he humbled himself. He said, being that you humble yourself, and you tore your garments, and then you have remorse and penitence toward what happened. He said, you're going to go to your grave in shalom. That's why you got to still walk Aydah. You got to walk humble. This is required of us. You can't do anything opposite of that. You do anything opposite of humble, humility, sanah, anah, anua, kana. If you do anything opposite of that, it's over. Yahuwah going to take you down. With all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing one another. Right? So you got humility, you got to have gentleness, because he's going to lead us in gentleness, gently. With patience, bearing one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the ruach, the unity of the flesh. You know, everybody love that. It's ruach, in the bond of shalom. And the only way you're going to do that is through humility. Anah, anua, sanah, kana, shafal, ainu. That's the only way. You ain't got no bond of shalom with all that boasting and arrogance and pride and hatred and jealousy and strife and complaining and pride. Right? Nobody care about your materialistic things. Nobody care about your materialistic accomplishments and all the stuff you did, how great you are. Nobody care about that. All that stuff is futile. It's abomination. It's all worthless. The bond of the ruach go way beyond that. Yahuwah take that stuff away. You see what he did to all the kings and the rulers and all the stuff in Yahusha. He did that stuff for thousands of years. What makes you think that stuff Yahusha Mashiach actually looking at? He ain't looking at you. He looking at how foolish you are. He looking at the inward man. He say, you look at the outward man. Yahuwah look at the heart. He look at your inward man. He look at your heart and how your heart pumping oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. You get ready to suffocate yourself with all the stuff you got going on in your heart and your mind. And you so worried about what people think about you, you're not even worried about what Yahuwah think about you. That's what you need to be worried about. People are worried about the wrong stuff. He said, how Yahuwah looking at us? He's like, You see how the earth shaking, man? What you think the earth thinking about? These people crazy. Why won't they repent? And he said, nah, they ain't gonna repent. They gonna keep boasting about what they got. They're not gonna, you know, the whole Aydah and the whole all creation waiting for the manifestation of the sons and daughters of Elohim. Do you know the whole earth waiting on us? And you know what y'all doing? He said, you boasting about stuff that don't even matter. It don't matter. He said what it says, with all humility and gentleness, because you got to lead gently, and with patience, because you're going to have a lot of patience. That's one way a seed going to grow. You got to plant the seed, and then you got to wait. Plant the seed, and then you start character assassinating the person. You say, no, you got to plant the seed and wait. Because that's the whole point. If everybody, he said, you got to wait. Patience, bearing one another in love. Eager to maintain the unity of the Ruach in the bond of Shalom. That's the whole point. Because we're going to delight ourselves in the abundance of Shalom. That's what we're going to do. There is one body. There's only one body. So how many bodies you looking for? One Ruach. There's only one Ruach. Just like it was in the beginning. Just as you were called into one hope, Tikva, that belongs to your call. There's only one call. There's only one. One master, one Amunah, one emergent. There's only one. And his name starts with a Yod. Right? It starts with a Yod. You got to get to the 10. Yod. You got to get to the 10. You're going to have to get the teat, male and female. Amazingly, you got 9 teat, male and female, mud, clay, and then you got Yod. How you gonna omit male and female and then go to Yod and then say you got the Ruach? It makes no sense. You can't. Because it's all one Ruach. And guess what it says? One master, one Amunah, one emergent, one Elohim, father of all, who is over all, that's both male and female, and through all, that's both male and female, and in all, that's both male and female. But Khan was given to you, given to each one of us according to the measure of Mashiach's gifts. Of who gifts? Because you are part of Mashiach's. Mashiach was all the gifts in one body, one person, in the flesh. We gotta have everybody together as in one in order to be in the earth. And you gonna be like, you know how people say, I'm the Mashiach. Your whole place, just you. Yahusha was one, he had all the gifts that we just read about, and he was one man in the flesh. Wouldn't you be scared of him? He coming back. Aren't you afraid of this man? Man, do you understand? I don't know if you understand. You see what Jael, Nabi, and Yeshayahu, and Mashah, and Moses, and all Enoch, Hanuk, all Yahoo was able to do, all these things. Well, Yahusha was just one. He had all of them in himself, just one person. Man, it's like Dragon Ball Z, man. The power level off the chart. You can't monitor that. That thing gonna bust your head open. We gotta be one body in order to be that. One person. And that one person coming back here, that man is all powerful. You think, I heal one person, I'm good. I heal one person, I'm just like him. Man, you just 1.000000289 or 0.00000000144 of that little bit of power he got. That's it. The man got all of that in one person. You see what Kof did? He was like, man, Yahusha gonna be able to do that times infinite. And you want to play with him. This is not a game. I know people say this is not funny. Dude say it's funny to a sense of how ignorant and stupid things we do. It's funny to that sense, but it's not funny in the sense of this is real. And then you they took the Torah and they translate over like 50,000 times, and then you think, oh yeah, you know, that's okay. That's not even okay. Whoever did that, boy, you in trouble when Yahusha get back here. If you the orchestrator of that, and if you are a part of that, you are in trouble when Yahusha get back here. Do you understand that? You took out all the, man, people have no idea. And if you know about it, and you don't say nothing, guess what? You in trouble when Yahusha get back here. And he been watching us. He been watching everybody the whole time. And guess what it said? Verse 5, one Amuna, one emerging, one Elohim, and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. But Khan was given to each one of us. To who? Both male and female, to each one of us. So you saying a woman ain't got no Khan? A man ain't got no Khan? A child ain't got no Khan? No grace? Was given to each one of us according to the measure of Mashiach's gifts. Therefore it says, when he ascended on high, he led a host of captives. And he gave gifts to men. Why do you think he gave gifts to men? He gave gifts to Adam. He gave gifts to Adam. In saying he ascended, what does it mean that he had also descended into the lower regions of the Earth? He who descended in the one who has also ascended above all the heavens, because it's 7 of them. It's like 7 women taking a hold of one man. How you gonna get rid of male and female? That he might fill all things, and he gave the Shalakim, he gave the apostles, the Nabi'im, Nabiyah, the evangelists and the shepherds and the teachers to equip the Chdsh for the work of the ministry. You know what Hula did? Deborah did? She said, didn't Yahuwah go tell you to do that? She equipped him with what he needed to do. Matter of fact, he said, yeah, a woman gonna get your kabod though. Matter of fact, do you know y'all what y'all need to be doing? He said, even though you did all that and you ripped your heart, you know you're gonna leave, you go to your grave in shalom. But Yahuwah is still gonna bring disaster on the earth, just like Jeremiah who said to Baruch. He's still gonna do it, just like Qahalath was even telling that in Ecclesiastes. He's still gonna do it. He's still gonna move the earth out of its place, and though he do it, like Psalms 46 said, he said, we will not be afraid. Though he moved the earth off his pillars, just like he did Yeshayahu 13 said, he said, we ain't gonna be afraid. He said, every man gonna return back to his own nation, his own land. All these things gonna take place. And just like everything that you read in the Torah, even when Peleg, when the earth was divided, he said when Yahusha, when he stand on the feet of Mount Olive, he said he's gonna go to the north and the south. And guess what? It's gonna be just like it was. And he said he's gonna stand right there where he left. And guess what? Ain't nothing you could do about it. I gotta stop. To equip the Chdsh with the work of the ministry for the building of the body of Mashiach, until we all attain the unity of Amunah and of the knowledge, the Binah, of the Son of Elohim. He said, search the scriptures. In them you think you got eternal life? It's talking about me. Adam, male and female. He said he the second Adam. You don't believe in the son of Adam? Because he the second Adam. He the second Adam. That's what Yahusha is, the second Adam. He said, I'm going to judge you just like I judged Adam. Remember Adam in the beginning? I told him what to do. I told him what he to do. I told the woman what she's going to have to do. And guess what? You saw what happened. He told her in the couch, I'm going to bruise your head. And you're going to bruise his head, right? You can say, you're going to bruise his head, and he's going to bruise your head, right? But love your enemies, though. Do good to those, right? Until we attain the unity of Amunah and the knowledge of the Son of Elohim to mature manhood. How you going to get the mature Adam? Adam didn't know how to discern between good and evil. The judge, like Deborah was, you know how Deborah got mature? Just like Hula got mature? Adam wasn't mature enough to judge between good and evil. Was he not? He's become like one of us, knowing good and evil. Lest he take from the tree of life and live forever. They didn't know how to discern between good and evil. So now he's saying, you desire to be teachers. You need somebody to teach you again. Matter of fact, you need to go find you a teacher. He said, he says, why? Because strong meat belongs to them who are full age. He said, strong food. He said, solid food belong for full age. They got their teeth. They got their shun. You know, they got their teeth. You know, the 21st alphabet. They got their teeth. For some reason, you don't know your Aleph, so you ain't got your teeth yet. So I know you ain't going to be able to eat totality and understand it on the level you need to understand it. So therefore, he said, repent and do your first works over. They're like you in kindergarten again. Right? Go from the Aleph to the 2. Because he's going to judge every man according to his works, right? Verse 13, until we attain the unity of Amunah and the knowledge, the binah of the son of Adam, Elohim, to mature manhood, to Adams, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Mashiach. He said, we ain't grown up to that level. You see Yahusha Mashiach. So you're going to ruach Marakav al Panim on the fourth day. Just like it was, he said, the third watch of the night, the fourth watch of the night. You going to do that? You going to walk on the sea? You finna do that now? He said, be humble for your lack of knowledge. He said, he said, all the people join together as one. He said, that's what it's going to take. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to do it. So that we may no longer be children. So what he's saying right here, they still children. You still have to be a child that can be taught, just like we just read in the Nazarene, Exodus, Nazarene, the truth of the Nazarenes. You gotta be a child that can be taught. So we can get to mature manhood. Hello, you grown adults. Yeah, they say, I'm grown. Why do I know this thing? No, you don't. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know your God and your Kaf. You don't know nothing. You don't know no shun. You don't know no totality. Stop. People say, stop it. Right? It's important. When Shaul spoke Abri Lashon, they kept them all silent. This is not a game. People playing games. This is not a game. It's not a joke. This is truth. So that we may no longer be children tossed to and fro by the waves carried about by every wind of doctrine. You know how much doctrine out here? And people say, that's why you got to tear it. Okay, I don't want that iron. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want your circles. Right? I understand it. I understand on the level you need to understand it, but you don't. So you think I'm like you. No, I'm just taking back everything y'all stole. They be taking everything. People be thinking like these people, no, they stole it. So they can be powerful than you. They took bits and pieces of it and they stole it and made a whole movement out of it. That's all they did. They didn't do anything. And you see, look, the little bit that they stole, you see, they make a whole thing out of it. And they can take your whole conscience, they take a whole side of a world. So think about if you get all your stuff back. They take 0.02% of what Yahusha was and then make a whole movement, religion out of it. And then guess what? Then they got about, man, do you understand? Verse 14, tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine, by human cunning, by craftiness and deceitful schemes. That's all it is. Plots and schemes. That's all it is. Rather, speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into him who is head, into Mashiach, the Rosh, from whom the whole body, and so this part of the body, whole body joined and held together by every joint, with which it is equipped, when each part is working properly. Now you know what they do when it's working properly. You know what they want to do? They want to attack. They want to try to tear it down. It's like, hold up, man. The thing working properly. What you trying to stop it for? It's working properly. It's turning. It's moving in the right direction. So why you want to stop it for? Why you trying to kill it out? Why you trying to put the lamp out? Why you trying to destroy the fruitful tree? Why? It says, makes the body grow so that it builds itself up in love. That's the only way. It grows. The deep things. You got to search the deep things. That's the only way it's going to grow. And then you know the sad part about it, you can't even do it because people don't even know the basic fundamental things. It's a building block. You got to build it from bottom up. You got to start at the bottom and you got to get it up there. It's not. And then you got to be careful what you put on it. You can't put everything on here. You can't put everything in the body. I don't care what you say. You can't do it. Don't do it. He gonna burn that junk off. You know that fire, man. You know that fire that the priest do morning and evening. He gonna burn that stuff off. He gonna rebuke you every morning. You know how he say? Like Dawid said, he rebuked me every single morning. Now this I say and testify in the Master, that you must no longer walk as the goyim do. He said, man, you gotta put that thing away. Yahuwah name start with a yod. When you gonna put that stuff away? In the futility of their minds, in their rosh. And that's the 20th letter of the alphabet. In their mind, the rosh, in their makashbar, your yetzer. Or you gonna be like them for the flood? Or you be before the fire coming? They are darkened in their understanding. Keep on hearing and do not hear. Keep on seeing and do not see. Lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart, and they be converted, or their iron is darkness. Right? Alienated from the life of Elohim because of the ignorance that is in them. That's you. You ignorant. And it's a great evil. It's rot. It's evil. Due to their hardness of heart. Who did it? Who hardened their heart? Who hardened Pharaoh's heart? Who hardened children of Yahusha? Who hardened people's heart? Yahuwah did it. And you want to take the things, you want to start a yacht, you want to take the things that from people that's hard-hearted in their heart, and you want to use it. It don't belong here. It don't belong in the body. People like, that's why people get upset. That's why you can't use it. It don't belong there. It don't belong there. I don't care what people say. I don't care what you say. It don't belong in it. And you bring your idol worship in here. You bring your idol worship in. He say, man, as long as you got them idols in your tongue, he said, I'm going to keep swinging at you. He said, why? Yahuwah said, I'm going to keep coming at you. Male and female. It's going to be old, keep going, right? And guess what it says? They have become callous and have given themselves up to sensuality, greedy to practice every kind of impurity. That's the only reason. That's what happens when you start doing it. And when you start sowing that seed and keep putting it in people's mind who threw that stuff away, it brings all that stuff back. That's why you don't like it. It's a yod, right? His name started with a yod. And we ain't changing it. But that is not the way you learn Mashiach. How you think Yahusha was teaching his disciples Shalakim? Let me guess. They were teaching what you saying. Assuming that you have heard about him and were taught in him, as the truth is in Yahusha, to put off the old self, which belongs to the former manner of life, and it is corrupt through deceitful desires. We talked about desires. Because we talked, that's the Sod. That's the 18th letter of the alphabet. And to be renewed in the Ruach of your minds, in your Rosh. And to put on the new self, created after the likeness of Elohim. Who was made in Yahuwah's image and likeness? Adam. And he coming back to reward everybody what you've done in your body. Because Yahusha is the second Adam. And you see how Yahusha came. You see how Yahuwah came in there. In the true righteousness. In true righteousness. And Qhdsh. Therefore, having put away falsehood, let each one of you speak truth to his neighbor. Let only one person speak truth to his neighbor. Both male and female. Let everyone speak Amar, utterance of Amar to his neighbor. You know why? Because then you ain't going to cover up nobody in the tent. And he going to tell you the lie and say he ain't in the tent. You ain't going to do that no more. You ain't going to be like them, oh, you knew about it, but then you walk with them in evil and lie. You ain't going to do that when you speaking Amar to your neighbor. You know, we'd be liars if we did not give all the money to the people and to Qahalath. You know, I'll be a liar if I say you ain't in the tent. Every man speak truth to his neighbor, right? You know, you already told you where you need to be. Did he tell you to go out and go beat in the battle with Caesarea, right? He told you to go out there. Why you ain't doing it? Everyone speak truth to your neighbor. Didn't Yahuwah tell you to put away them idols, king? And being that you had remorse, though, you took down, and matter of fact, you actually tore your robes and you tore your garments. Matter of fact, you're going to go to your grave in shalom. Let everybody speak truth to his neighbor, male and female. And guess what? For we are members one of another. Male and female speak truth to your neighbor. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down in your anger, and give no opportunity for Satan. And let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, doing honest work with his own hands, so that he may have something to share with someone in need. That labor was what he told Adam in the beginning. What did he tell Adam? You're going to be sowing the ground. You're going to be getting seed. Matter of fact, he said, you know what you're going to be doing? You're going to be eating lakam till you go back to the dust. But we ain't there yet. How you say? Just like it was in times past. You don't know what they'll tell you. But at the same time, you right in the middle of the thing. He said, we right in the middle of it. And people still fighting. He say, no, you can't do that no more. Let no corrupt talk come out of your mouth. He can't do that no more. His name started with a Yah. Get them idols out your way. Get that onion out of here. That other onion. Right? And all that other stuff. But only such is good for building up. Because we trying to build. Right? You keep he said, we trying to get this up. We trying to get, everybody need to be functioning. As fits the occasion. That is, that it may give con to those who hear. Why? And do not grieve the Qahalath Ruach of Elohim, by whom you are sealed to the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. As you, individually you, the person. Be kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, as Elohim Mashiach has forgave you. Right, so this is the book of Odes of Solomon, 11, 1 through 16, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1. Odes of Solomon, Shaloma, 1 through 16, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 2. My heart was pruned, and its flower appeared. Then Khan sprang up in it. That's how we gonna get Khan. Why you think we just read? He gave grace, Khan, to everyone, each and every one, and all. And Yahuwah said, I prune you. He said, if a man and woman don't bear fruit, I prune it that it may bear more fruit. I cut things off. Why you think you got to put away all this stuff? The idols, his name started Yah. Why you got to put away all this stuff? Ain't nothing going to grow. Ain't nothing going to build up. You're just going to keep repeating the same thing year after year after year, and you think you know, and you don't know. And it produced fruit for Yahuwah. How are you going to produce fruit for Yahuwah? His name starts with a Yah. For the Most High circumcised me by his Qahalath Ruach. Why do you think the Qahalath Ruach was around? Why do you think Qahalath Ruach was in Philippi with the 4 women who Nabba, and then the man came Nabba and say, Shaul gonna go there, and Shaul said, man, I'm ready to do this thing by the Ruach. I know this thing gonna be right. Right? He knew it. By his Ruach then uncovered my inward being toward him and filled me with his love. That's why he just told us to walk in love and tenderhearted one to another and covering each other with love. You know what it says? And his circumcision became my salvation, and I ran in the way in shalom, in peace, in the way of truth. Let every man or woman speak truth to his neighbor. In shalom, let us grow up to the fullness of Mashiach in peace. Verse 4, from the beginning unto the end, I receive his knowledge. We just talked about I am Yahuwah. He said, I'm the Aleph and the two, the beginning and the first and the last, the beginning and the end. You see what he did to Adam and how he judged them. And you see what he's going to do in the end when he judges. He's going to do it. I'm going to give you for what you have done. And guess what it says? I was established upon a rock of truth where he has sent me. And speaking waters touched my lips from the springs of Yahuwah generously. Right? So I drank and became intoxicated with the living water that does not die. That's why you say, I'm intoxicated with a bunch of wine drunk in my tent during Sukkah. I'm drunk in my tent on Shabbat. No. I'm intoxicated with his living water. Yahuwah made us drink water. You're supposed to drink water. What part of water don't you understand? Put some lemon in it. It'll help you out for the rest of your life. Water that does not die. How you mean the water don't die? That the bar don't die. It's going to succeed in what he sent it as rain and snow come down from Shaby'ay, so that the bar be that goes out of my mouth. It's going to succeed. And my intoxication was not with ignorance, but I abandoned vanity. Why do you think he told him? He said, put away the ways of the goyim. And he told you, he said, they err and full of darkness in their ignorance. And you want to keep doing it. He said, because you know why? Because you have an abandoned vanity. For all this vanity and vexation of the Ruach, it don't even help nothing. You just vexing the Ruach every time you be saying that stuff, and people don't even know it. And guess what? And I turned toward the Most High Yahuwah, my Elohim, and was enriched by his favors. And I abandoned folly and cast upon the earth and stripped off and cast it from me. Why do you think that man tore his robes? He tore his robe. He ripped that stuff off. He like, let me tear this stuff. I don't need this stuff. You know why? He abandoned vanity. He cast off his folly. Why do you think you tear your robe and get in the sackcloth and ashes? Why do you think a woman's folly tears her whole house to the ground? A wise woman builds her house. Why do you think the women were doing? Huldah. You see all the wise women that were married? We just read about them. There's many more. Even the wise woman who came in when the man was trying to pursue you, blowing the Turah, and he came in there, he said, we're going to send him out to you in a minute. All this is a part of it. It's all a part of it. You can't omit it. He said, I want to omit it. No, you can't. You can't do it. I already talked about you can't omit male and female. We already talked about this. You can't do it. Regardless of how you may feel, no matter how you want to understand it, because who stopped David that way from killing the ball and sin against Yahuwah? Yahuwah's Abigail saying, man, being that Yahuwah sent you to me, you done stopped me from almost sinning against Yahuwah, but I almost took this man out of here. And you know what happens after that? That's what you call it. He said, be in subjection one to another. That's why. We almost finished. And I abandoned folly and cast upon the earth and stripped off, and it was cast to me. And Yahuwah renewed me, be renewed in the ruach of your mind, with his garment, and possessed me by his light. And from above, he gave me immortal rest. So how do you think you're going to put on immortality? And when the prayer of Jacob said, he said, I am an immortal, as a mortal molecule, put on immortality. Yahuwah of the cosmos, the one who formed and moved all of the planets in the cosmos, and the Orion and Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, all the stars in the Kukab of the yard, of all throughout the cosmos. The first Shaby'ay, all the firmaments. And guess what? And from above, he gave me immortal rest, and I became like the land which blossoms and rejoices in its fruits. Why? Because that's the rain and snow that comes from Shaby'ay. It blossomed. How do you think we're going to grow up to salvation? To perfect manhood. We want to, he said, blossom, right? We almost in verse 13. And Yahuwah is like the sun upon the face of the land. Man, he put his 12 rays of light, and that thing, man, he's just like the sun. And his rays had touched me. And when it touched you, once you find out who the man at his right hand, whom he strengthened for himself, man, it's like, how in the world are you going to make me change that? Verse 14, my eyes were enlightened, and my face received the dew. He said, my eyes, my ayin, were enlightened, and my face received the dew. Why? Because the wisdom, how come I make your face to shine? You're a lot of the world. But if your face ain't shining, how you know you shining? Because you got the shin. Because you got your teeth. Because solid food belongs to them at full age. By reason of use, having their members exercise to discern between good and evil. Man, you don't even know the shun. My eyes were enlightened, my ayin, and my face, my panim received the dew. And my breath was refreshed by the pleasant fragrance of Yahuwah. Huh? Verse last one. And he took me to his paradise, wherein the wealth of Yahuwah's, wherein is the wealth of Yahuwah's pleasure. For the reward of humility is riches, honor, and life. The reward of humility is riches, honor, and life. But you know the proud, he gonna cash it to the ground. But the reward of humility is riches, honor, and life. And those riches is an enlightened thought, enlightened eyes, enlightened ears, that you may speak Yahuwah is the bar, and his infinite understanding. And he can use your body as a vessel for the truth. So we look at all that, look at Yahusha Mashiach, there's a lot more. But we look at he say, children that can be taught, that one can grow up to perfect manhood. So we look at that understanding of Yahusha Mashiach, we look at the light of life, look at the sun that Yahuwah shines on the land. And he allows it to blossom. He said he wants to blossom even as the flowers do in the field. That we may be full of hakmah and wisdom and knowledge and understanding. That the enlightened thought may not override, that the enlightened thought may override your desires for your natural man, your natural clothes and your natural possessions and things that you desire and you boast about in this life. For all these things are worthless in the sight of Yahuwah. For all these things will be burned up, and these things will be destroyed. Yet we enjoy them as we have them, but we know it's only temporary. But we live in this world, we are not of it. And as long as we live in the world, he said we will walk in the light of life, in the light or of New Jerusalem. And all those who hear, and those who see, and those who understand, he said we be transformed by the renewing of your mind, and be renewed in the spirit of ruach of your mind, and knowing that in your inward man and your inward being dwells a being. And that being wants to grow up. And that being wants to be in the full measure that Yahuwah gave to you. And that Yahuwah gave to inside of your inner being. And not to get out of place. Not to get out of place of the order. Not to get out of place of the orders that Yahuwah created from the highest Shamayim. That to get out of place, but to stay in your lane. To stay in the actual functionality of your inner being, of the higher consciousness of the Mashiach in the body of Yahusha Mashiach, to the perfect understanding of who he is. In your inward being, in the Ba'ith, in your temple, your palace, your Mikdan, your Chdsh, your Ahal, your temple, your temporary vessel. That the being of light that may be planted in the ground as a seed may resurrect to newness of life, and that you may be with Yahuwah in the air. The only way to do that, you must get your wings back. You must get your kanaf back. You must get Adam back in your frontal lobe, in your face. Because that's the only person Yahuwah shines his face on. Adam. And Adam was the one whom he came to bring back to how it was in the beginning. Because Yahuwah is the beginning and the end. And when he shines his sun on you, his face on you, he said, Hakmah will make your face to shine. And you'll be able to name things again. You'll be able to see the things that he made, animals and creatures. You'll be able to say, that is this. This is that. That is this again. You'll be able to get your renewed image and likeness back in the full measure of how he was in the beginning. And through that understanding, one will be able to put away the old self and put on a new nature, which is renewed in the image of Yahuwah Elohim. So this Yom, as we move forward in understanding, Binah. We move forward in Da'ah, in knowledge. Most of all, we move forward in Hakmah. But without Hakmah, he say, you won't be the light of the world, nor you'll be a city that hid. But you can't hide it no more. And the more you try to hide it, the more it will shine forth. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The Anu shall inherit the earth.